waiting for someone to show up, but no one's coming. I guess you people have lives? Is that what's going on? That we were listening to Void Watcher, 1990s to PS1 low poly horror ambient from the channel Lost Poly. Put that link in the chat so that nobody can click on it, but that's okay. You know, just try to give credit where credit's due. Hope everybody's doing well. All the people that aren't watching, who have lives. But let's get into it. Let's just do a recap on the Correspondents dinner. And, yeah, take it from there. Oh, Tisrael, you're here. Nice. All right, well, let's get started.
Diplomats, journalists, and the president gathered in a ballroom for the annual White House Correspondents' dinner. And then, this happens. Panic cuts through protocol. Guests scatter. The president's still unaware of the imminent danger. First off stage, Vice President J.D. Vance. Next, Donald Trump, who appears to stumble slightly as the Secret Service takes control.
Yeah, he put out a message to his family. It does seem like he was targeting the president, but yeah.
Tonight was supposed to be Trump's big return. A president who has long attacked what he calls the fake news media, has boycotted the event through both terms in office. It was meant to be a night celebrating press freedom. Instead, the glamour-packed ballroom descended into confusion and fear.
Tables getting flipped over, guys running in with guns, and they were screaming, "Get down!" It was a pretty crazy, unique experience.
I just want to go. Has CCTV images captured a suspect shooting and running towards the event just one floor up. Investigators confirmed a man opened fire, injuring a Secret Service agent who was later released from hospital. America is now asking, who is the shooter who was able to get that close to the President of the United States? It's been reported that the suspect is 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen from California, seemingly a popular teacher, a graduate, a games developer. Investigators believe he was a guest at the hotel. Allen is due in court tomorrow. So why?
What we believe happened, at least as of now, is that the suspect traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago, and then Chicago to Washington, D.C., where he checked into the hotel where the Correspondents' dinner was at. We're still investigating motive, and that's something that will necessarily take a couple of days at least. We believe that he was targeting administration officials.
Back at the Hilton, Trump wanted to carry on, but instead...
The president will be having a press briefing at the White House in 30 minutes. That is not a joke.
Are you concerned about political violence? This could be politically motivated.
All violence. I'm concerned about everything. Look, but I can't be so concerned that you can't function. No, I'm here. Nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run. Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass.
The president said the attempted attack was a compliment.
I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this, where they got them. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but...
One that supported his ambitions.
I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it.
President Trump has just left the podium. Clearly a really scary night for him,
for his family, for the cabinet who were up there, but also seizing the political opportunity out here within an hour and arguing that this only happens to people who are having impact, saying he won't be deterred. America has seen Trump in this situation before. Nearly 2 years ago, he survived an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, as a candidate. Afterwards, his ratings soared. At a moment in which his popularity has been so badly damaged by the war in Iran, he will be hoping that this shooting may provide another key turning point in his presidential ambitions. While the motive for last night's event remains unclear, President Trump has faced 2 previous attempts on his life. And while the vast majority of Americans say they oppose political violence, the killing of activist Charlie Kirk last year underlined that the risk to high-profile individuals is serious. Simeon Brown reports.
On the campaign trail in 2024,
Take a look at what happened.
this was President Trump's close encounter with a gunman. Far from the last for the president and the country. In America, political violence is older than the flag. It has taken the lives of campaigners like Martin Luther King and even presidents, with 4 murdered in office. John F. Kennedy, the last in 1963, but not for a lack of plots. This was the attempt on Ronald Reagan in 1981. Here, the press secretary, Jim Brady, was paralyzed outside the same building as the White House press dinner. Today, those campaigning in his name condemned America's enduring crisis.
Political violence with firearms is a real reality in America. I think what it really reflects is just like every other type of violence in America, whether it's domestic violence, like we just saw in Shreveport where 8 children were killed, community violence, self-harm, suicide, it's all escalated so quickly into lethal violence because of unfettered access to firearms in this country.
But despite this, the country...
No, it's the liberal rhetoric. It's the fact that liberals, people on the left, criticize the right. That's why they go crazy. Everyone knows that.
The country's commitment to firearms has remained stubborn, even among victims. This was Trump ally and right-wing activist Charlie Kirk last September, advocating gun rights. Moments later, he was fatally shot. Although violence has hit those across the divide, guns are a defining icon of the right's culture war. And there has even been support expressed for ICE officers who have fatally killed those who have shown dissent. Political violence has festered in the divided states of America. Is political violence, is it escalating due to increasing polarization in America?
Yeah, I think the U.S. has always accepted more political violence than other similar democracies. In fact, we know that threats to Congress are up tenfold since 2016, which is really scary. Easy access to guns makes these threats far more lethal. Again, we saw that with Melissa and Mark Hortman. But we can't stop just at condemning the political violence alone. We have to recognize that rejecting political violence fundamentally requires addressing the roles of guns. We have more guns than people in this country.
Have you thought about how liberals make fun of right-wingers sometimes? That's kind of a big deal too, isn't it?
Can't lose sight of what is at the root of these horrific acts. What makes these acts so much more dangerous and lethal? Our nation's easy access to guns.
At the Washington press dinner, where shots were fired, there were no fatalities. A small mercy in a country where an estimated 47,000 people were killed by guns last year. But as President Trump escapes his 3rd encounter with a gunman, the question is, in this country, just what will it take for those with power to reform America's access to guns?
Joining me now are Anne McElvoy of Politico, who was at the dinner last night.
It's good to mention that this is British. Welcome back, Snow. It's good to mention that this is British news, Channel 4 news, U.S. news, no mention of guns. I mean, barely a peep. There was one brief interaction here, Face the Nation, CBS. Brennan asking the shooter had multiple weapons. You said he traveled from California across the country by train. How did he do that? This isn't about making laws more restrictive. I'm asking about crossing state lines with firearms. I don't think that's something we should be focused on. It's never the guns. They don't even bother doing the whole pretend to care about mental health, right? They don't give a shit about that either. It's really just, you know, this is the life we got to live. This is what we got to deal with. This is the new normal. Gun anarchy everywhere. Guns everywhere. If you don't like that, you know, you're anti-Second Amendment. Oh, and then this, you know, this is coming from Republicans who care so much about the Constitution and the amendments, right? The same Republicans that want to destroy everything the Constitution stands for. They you know, they would be perfectly happy with a dictator who doesn't follow any of the tenets of the Constitution, except for that Second Amendment. We got to have that one, but all the other ones, that's okay. We don't need those, right? First Amendment, who cares? Mental health crisis, what's that? Never heard of it. Real problem is we don't have a ballroom built, and left-wingers keep making dunks on us on Twitter. Something needs to be done.
Former US Secret Service agent Tim Miller, who in his career has protected dozens of events at last night's venue. And let me just start with you. You were in the room, you were waiting for Donald Trump to give a speech he said was going to be controversial, inappropriate about journalists. Instead, chaos. What did you see?
Well, actually, I was just outside the doors. There are two sort of ways that people experience this, Anushka. And in my case, I'd just gone out. I was going to pick up a bag and something that I needed for Kit. And so I was really at the top of the escalators in the lobby, where we have to assume that the gunman had somehow managed to cross that lobby and then got downstairs, either by the escalators, by back steps. We don't know at the moment, but basically, if you like, I was sort of right above it rather than through the door. So what we heard was we were just simply told there was a rush of security staff. I mean, I think the woman next to me said, I think it's a medical emergency. So we all pressed ourselves to the walls, and then more and more security came. And then they really did start to shout, get out of the way, get out of the way. And, you know, a few curse words, as we say here, were flying. And I think we realized then it was probably a threat or a protester. But because he was sort of at the top of the escalator, and you've seen that dramatic footage of what was going as you went further down towards the door, at where he was apprehended and where the shots rang out, you know, it's all very physically close, but there was so much noise and so much chaos. It was pretty hard to tell what was going on immediately. And we were bundled out, and we realised once we were outside what it.
Thanks, Anne. And Tim, you know that hotel really well, don't you? From what you've seen, how far did the shooter get, and did it surprise you?
Yeah, it actually got way too far again. And I think it speaks to the Secret Service. You know, the Secret Service is proactive. The whole mission is to make sure we do wise, advanced work and to stop an event like this from happening. We saw it in Butler, we saw it in Palm Beach, and now here we see it again. And it does speak to how the Secret Service is doing business. Let me tell you, if 3 strikes don't make you wake up and say, hey, we do have a genuine, real, actual threat against the president everywhere he goes, I don't know what's going to cause that to happen.
And did you, Tim, from what you've seen of the footage that's been put out there, spot anything that jumped out at you as particularly unusual?
Yeah, of course, there were a lot of things that are unusual. You see, the Secret Service starts from the curb in, creating barriers, or what we would call rings of protection. In this case, it was a mag checkpoint, which is closer to the actual event. And a person with a handgun and a shotgun ran down the hall. Well, that would be a clue for a Secret Service agent. But the real question is, where were the counter surveillance units? Again, I've been at that hotel. I've probably done 100 advances there. It's a difficult place to secure, but the Secret Service does it at that building probably 50 to 100 times a year. So the question becomes, who are the current Secret Service agents? And like we saw in Butler, abysmal failure. Why is this mission, which is so critically important, continuing to fail? And I would suggest the Secret Service has to be reorganized, rethought, retrained. Who are we hiring to protect the president?
Let me come back to you on that, but Anne, can I just ask you, you can't overstate, can you, the concentration of power in that room?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. 2,500 people, you know, the cream, getting ahead on the royal visit there, of UK, US, transatlantic media.
I can't believe the goddamn king is visiting. It's so fucking embarrassing. The man's a fascist, you know? He's done nothing but embarrass himself and his country and insult the UK and insult everything the UK stands for. You know, trying to install another fascist in the UK, supports basically an anti-British party masquerading as a pro-British populist party and the Reform Party. King still goes. They're just useless. The royal family, they're just utterly fucking useless.
Corporates, there's a lot of corporate presence in the room. The cabinet this year was the 30th anniversary of the dinner. Donald Trump's had a difficult relationship with it. He thinks a lot of the mainstream media is against him. He rails about that. He's also got a very, very checkered, in some ways, very reprehensible record on the First Amendment, on free speech. He's been targeting a lot of critical journalists. So there was already a pretty charged expectation of what was going to happen. And that had drawn in a lot of people. The cabinet were there, the American cabinet. We had J.D. Vance was there. He was rushed off stage.
Do you think it will boost his presidency, Anne?
Absolutely, in the short term. I think these things always do. I think, as we were just hearing about Butler, I was actually covering that afterwards. I was there the day after when the president arrived in Milwaukee after the fight response. And a very different president last night, and much more emollient. But yes, it will boost him in the short term.
Tim, can I ask you very quickly, Tim, one question as well? These are lone shooters, but surely the risk to the president could be something much more serious.
That's exactly the point, 100%. These have been amateurs. And by the way, I think we should focus a lot more on the sick minds that are pulling the trigger, what's causing that, than we are on the overall argument of the weapons itself. And to your point, we have much more dangerous and lethal adversaries out here. The Secret Service has to step up.
Right.
Okay, Tim, Anne, thank you so much for your time.
Literally have no idea what the fuck that even means. They need to step up. Let's get a little bit more from DW here. There's really, hopefully DW gives us more of a in-depth analysis of who this person is. Looks like this is the video to play. But dude donated to Kamala, school teacher from California. That's all Republicans need to hear, right? Doesn't matter anything. We don't know. We don't need to know anything else. The narrative will be that he was a Democrat, radicalized by left-wing criticism of right-wing fascism. And, we need to double down on our fascistic NSPM 7 goals, which is, going against people who are anti-Christian, going against people who, espouse any kind of liberal ideology of any kind, that, where this is a crisis, that this is, that the only solution here is more fascism, to shut us up. And of course, they're totally wrong. But, that's the direction they're going to go in. It was interesting that Donald Trump didn't go down that route, that he showed restraint during the press conference last night. But I think, I've already seen two supposedly liberal commentators, Dana Bash and Van Jones, go down this route of, what about the rhetoric? What about the rhetoric? Right-wing, alt-right Twitter is, every other tweet is, what about Hassan? What about the rhetoric? It's really only a matter of time. I haven't been watching Fox. Kind of curious. Maybe let's just check out Fox real quick. But I wouldn't be surprised if Fox News right now. Whoa. Why did DW make this video go private? I wouldn't be surprised if Fox News right now was making the rhetoric argument, but it's really only a matter of time.
A man is in custody in the United States after he breached security and opened fire at the annual White House.
Weird. Okay, I don't know what's going on with YouTube there. It was private, but then now it's not private. I don't know. Maybe they had to make a quick change. If you watch Fox, Hassan's the biggest threat. They did 6 segments on him in one day. Yeah, and that was before the shooting. That was before the shooting. The fact that he donated, that's all we're going to hear from Scott Jennings. He donated $25. He's a Democrat. He represents the left. Anybody that points out, it's 10-1, right? When it comes to, right-wing shooters versus left-wing shooters, ignore, blow past, gish gallop over that. It's the rhetoric. We got to clamp down on free speech. We have to clamp down on criticism. When is Elon Musk going to do something about this? I can't seem to get my Fox News machine to get going here. Let me see if I can just go to YouTube. We'll just take a look at Fox News. Just take a look at the channel here. Just see what kind of videos they've put out in the last 24 hours. DHA funding news scrutiny. Okay, so they're criticizing the DHS funding, stuff. Tense environment. Trump calls out rise in political violence. Oh, I bet you that's it right there. Suspected reportedly admitted to targeting Trump. Yep, the ballroom. Okay. Major security updates. Cynical operations. Slams SPLC. Oh, yeah, they're slamming the Southern Poverty Law Center because heaven forbid people defend themselves in a court of law. This is grave danger. Here we go. Yeah, it's from Levin. It's got to be coming from Levin if it's going to come from anybody. I apologize in advance. We're going to hear Mark Levin's voice, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be harping away.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Thank you for being here. Look, I wanted to open tonight's show talking about the Iran war, but I have decided to save that for tomorrow night's show, Sunday. Why? Because we need to discuss a grave danger that will extend beyond the Iran conflict, no matter how long that conflict may last. And it's even more complicated and in many respects even more dire. And I'm talking about the enemy within.
There we go. The enemy within, the liberals, the left, the fact that we enjoy freedom along with them. Got to do something about them dirty libs. Got to lock them up, send ICE after them, remove their rights, make liberalism, make progressivism illegal. It's as predictable as it gets.
What do I mean by the enemy within? Let's turn to Abraham Lincoln. That is a phrase that has been said to have been his based on a speech he gave in 1838 when he was 28 years old. It was a speech to the Young Men's Lyceum of Springfield, Illinois, the perpetuation of our political institution.
So fascinating. This actually was broadcast before the Correspondents' dinner. The show came on before the assassination attempt. And then glazing of Mark Levin. The enemy within showed up, at the hotel. Democrat politicians hate America. Of course, this is Fox, but this is the rhetoric. Yeah, so it's alarmist comments. We got to do something. It's happening in Australia. The dirty liberals are taking over. The media should be dealt with anytime they go against this country. And, of course, going against this country is mildly criticizing the president. I mean, are you kidding me with some of the shit that we see on mainstream media? Barely criticism. We keep getting lessons, yet we refuse to understand, so we must repeat, right? We got to do something. Call to action. The party has made clear it wants to constitutionalize one-party control. They're talking about the Democrats. not the Republicans who are literally doing that. Yeah, which one are you referring to? That's obvious to me. Right. So that's fascinating that this was already the play, the enemy within, and right on cue, right on cue, here comes the enemy within to do a sloppy fucking assassination attempt. I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy there. I think he was just mentally ill, but you know, everything's coming up Milhouse for Donald Trump. 9 hours, 5 hours ago. They actually are trying to start a civil war, talking about Democrats, talking about liberals. You know, irony's dead on the Fox News channels. It's a way to stop midterm elections from even happening. Literally, I mean, irony is actually dead over here. While this party actively destroys our electoral system, actively tries to game the system in every single way, the accusation is against the Democrats. LOL. Marxist troll. Oh, is he? He's trying to say. Can't even tell. I can't even tell. You know, and maybe this guy is trying to say this is the Republicans doing this. Marxist. I mean, they call Joe Biden. They call, you know, mild neoliberals Marxists. We don't need to hear anymore. I'm curious. I mean, this was, you know, so that was even before. So I'm curious, this 3-minute clip 2 hours ago, Trump calls out rise in political violence. I'm curious if Fox is now carrying it's the rhetoric.
The people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way.
Who's they? What is he talking about? You know what I mean? It's all vagaries.
Trump pointing out the disturbing rise in political violence as all sides of the political aisle, from Charlie Kirk to Democrat Governor Shapiro, fall victim to this.
Right. So Kirk and Shapiro, two basically right-wingers. Of course, Charlie Kirk, but Shapiro, supposedly he's a Democrat, but he's basically a Republican. Let's be real. So pro-Israel, it'll make your head fucking spin.
Disturbing trend. Fox News contributor and retired NYPD Inspector Paul Morrow joins us. Good morning, Paul. Another incident.
3 Martini Genie. That's a good one.
Definitely a rise in political violence. Your thoughts this morning?
Here we go. Rhetoric. We got to do something about the left, the violent left. Come on, give it to me.
Well, Griff, this reminds me a bit of what it was like at the height of the quote-unquote age of terrorism, or age of counterterrorism, if you prefer, post 9/11. But as it began to metastasize...
And Republicans love that, because any criticism of the administration, any criticism of George Bush was immediately met with, you're being anti-patriotic, you're being anti-American, someone do something about that. So, yeah, it makes sense that they would like to re-invoke those times.
As the ideology began to go from just a group of quote-unquote cave dwellers in Afghanistan, and it began to permeate the internet. And that's the great common denominator here, is the rise of the internet and the rise of social media specifically has allowed this ideology to disseminate into
this ideology, here we go.
Corners where previously it would not have found.
We got to lock down social media. Left-wingers shouldn't be able to have an opinion on social media at all.
So much support. And so almost any position these days can find some place, some niche on the internet that will support your position. And I think once the search warrants are completed and the computers and phones are scrubbed, et cetera, we are almost certainly going to see that the accused here, Cole Allen, was probably imbibing that kind of ideology online, and he decided to act on it because people were telling him it's the right thing.
They're tiptoeing around it. It's really only a couple hours, maybe days, before they just start blatantly saying, this is the Democrats, this is the liberals. He's still dancing around it, waiting for the confirmation from the government that he was a left-winger, no doubt about it.
Thing to do.
And we will learn ultimately what the motive was and the specific target in details, but what we can clearly...
What the fuck is going on with his motherfucking ears, man? Holy shit. This one's all fucking gobbling. This one's fucking straight gobbling. This one looks like it was clipped.
Really see at this point already is this is an individual that made a plan to travel across the country, arm himself, and attack that event. And when you look in the course of the attempts on President Trump's life, from Butler to the sniper lying in the lair there, Ryan Ruth.
Those were right wingers, or at best apolitical.
To the individual that breached the security of Mar-a-Lago with a gas can and a shotgun, these appear to be off-radar, almost lone wolf individuals, and that seems to me as a difficult threat to protect against.
Yeah, it really is, and it tracks to what I just said. Very much like what we went through when I was working counterterrorism. You're trying to pick out lone wolves, and in fact, it's got even harder, Griff, because the number of social media platforms is multiplied, and you also now have end-to-end encryption. And that is a really difficult thing for law enforcement to get past, no matter how powerful your search warrant is written, no matter how many people you put on the...
If we give the government and police the ability to have a backdoor on encryption, it wouldn't just destroy privacy from the individual. It would destroy business. It would destroy... I mean, it would just... Because the idea that the government can have a backdoor and no one else gets to have that, no one gets to use that backdoor is ludicrous. The only way for encryption to work is if no one gets a magic secret backdoor. Guarantee you, if they try to think they're clever and they think, oh, there's a, like, you know, we can everything needs to be encrypted with this special algorithm, you know, and then we have a special key. We have like a skeleton key. Of course they would use it against us. Yeah. But the bigger problem is that it would fundamentally destroy, like banking, you know, it would just wreak havoc on so many different things. But they don't care, right? It's just, they you know, they follow Orwell's blueprint. They don't believe in privacy. They believe in you know, total and complete control over mind and body of every human being. Welcome back, Terry.
Wiretap, et cetera. If you're trying for a wiretap, some of this stuff just can't be interdicted. What's also different here is that, tracking to what I said earlier, when we were working counterterrorism, the sanctioners, the people who were encouraging this stuff, were overseas. And as a result, it was more difficult for them to get their message out. Now, the sanctioners, for lack of a better term, are here, and many of them are in the political sphere. And so we see people here that are ostensibly very close to the mainstream narrative.
Tulsi Gabbard over here with her best Cruella DeVille look. What the fuck is this? Holy shit. So she just intentionally dyes that little portion of her hair white? Really? She just literally looks like Cruella DeVille.
Saying things that even a few years ago would not have been countenanced.
That's a good point and a frightening insight. Paul Morrow, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much, you fucking fascist. Oh, am I not allowed to say that anymore? Oh, so sorry. So sorry. All right, let's get this follow-up from DW here, and then I think we'll, you know, that'll be all that we know right now about the Correspondents' dinner. The real question for me is how effective is this incident going to be in pushing their fascist agenda to destroy free speech for lefties and liberals or even centrists? It's, you know, anybody who's to the left of MAGA, they're basically going to encourage, look, just shut up. Just don't say anything political. Don't be political online. Keep your mouth shut. You know, when you're in, you know, in public spaces. They want what they have in Russia and China, you know, which is, you know, everyone spying on each other, snitching on each other, and, you know, just a general layer of fear for expressing yourself if your opinion is against the establishment, the empire. But of course, if you're pro-empire, say whatever you want. You know, the algorithm will boost you, and you'll be rewarded, and no one will say a thing about it. You know, you can praise Putin all day. You're not going to get dragged away. You can hold up pro-Putin signs in Russia. You know, same thing in China, right? Pro-Xi Jinping, pro-CCP. You can be loud and proud about that. You're a good Chinese person. You're a good Russian if you're doing that, and that's exactly what they're trying to create here. And they've already laid down the foundation with NSPM 7 and other measures as well. It's really just, you know, going to take it. Are they going to take it to the next step? Are they going to start the enforcement? Or, you know, and I guarantee you it's going to be ICE doing the enforcement, which it'll be police in the ICE. But it'll be ICE that'll be taking it too far, kicking down your door. You know, you posted this thing about Donald Trump. You said this thing about Donald Trump. You said this thing about the government in general. You know, you've been accused of terrorism. You know, and setting that legal precedent to harangue people in that way. And then, of course, the next step is either jail or going even to the further step, which is like exile, like literally kicking people out. But you know, that's more complicated. And of course, we've seen the government already build the facilities. They're already converting existing facilities and building more facilities for hundreds of thousands of individuals. These are things that, you know, whether this was a conspiracy or not. Shock doctrine, comes into play here. You know, never let a good disaster, never let a good crisis go to waste. I don't think it was a conspiracy. I think this person was mentally ill. There's definitely some things that are suspicious, but there's almost always things that are suspicious, especially with Charlie Kirk's murder. There's a lot of things that just don't make any sense whatsoever. But you know, you always need that mentally ill individual, that incredibly naive individual who thinks he's going to be the linchpin in some revolution, regardless of whether it's planned or not, right?
A man is in custody in the United States after he breached security and opened fire at the annual White House Correspondents' dinner in Washington, D.C. Authorities say he's refusing to cooperate with investigators. The event was attended by President Trump, who has always boycotted the gala in the past due to his fractious relationship with much of the press corps. Also at the event were DW's Washington team, Bureau Chief Enos Pohl and correspondent Janelle Dumoulin, were left shaken by their experience, but thankfully unharmed.
Some 2,600 dinner guests were just beginning their starters. Amid the clatter of plates and the mood music, even the president seemed to take a second to realize the danger before he dropped to the ground. Security swarmed in and bundled him and Vice President
So, I mean, here we go. I mean, it's literally already starting. Here's a tweet from someone who's pretending to be liberal. Probably an MSNBC, vote blue no matter who. I wasn't happy when Clinton, Obama, or Biden won. Oh no, so they're conservative, but I didn't call them fascist, dangerous threat to democracy. Yes, you did, and you voted for and supported an individual that said those very things. I'm not convinced that it's a false flag yet. Good guy, Dari. Didn't hope someone would assassinate them. I mean, literally, these are things that the right wing does every single day on Twitter, including the president, including Donald Trump, using this rhetoric, using this language. I went on with my life with gratitude. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You voted for one of the whiniest, loudest complainers that has ever existed in American political history. I went on with my life with gratitude, and that's why I supported the loudest crybaby that's ever existed in American politics. Friends on the left, we're not your friends. You're trying to destroy us. You're trying to literally enslave us. We're not your friends. Please try this. Your life and your country will be better. So what? Go on with our lives with gratitude? Basically, sit down and shut up. Let us destroy the country, piss on the Constitution, destroy the rule of law, support a pedophilic, corrupt oligarch to install himself as dictator while he spends hundreds of billions of dollars with pet projects, gets our country into unnecessary wars, and destroys things like the Forest Service, like the healthcare service, He just fired like 25 incredibly important scientists. Just sit down and shut up, just like I did. Just like I did when during Clinton, Obama, and Biden. Me and my party, we just sat down and shut up. That's what we did. Really? So prepare to hear a lot of this. Just be good. Just be good little liberals and take it. Don't complain. That's what I did. Total lie. Friends on the left. Right? This is it. This is the whole package right here.
J.D. Vance away to safety. DW's Washington team were at the dinner. Correspondent Janelle Dumoulin was visiting the bathroom as the order to shelter in place came. She described her experience to Deutsche Welle.
So I had actually gone to the bathroom at this time this incident happened, and as I was washing my hands, I heard what I thought were 6 or 7 very loud gunshots. Apparently this was in the corridor where this bathroom is. And I was actually going to go outside and check, but then 2 women.
Right. So, I mean, the comments on this picture are really something else, too. And I'm sorry to interrupt it, but, the cognitive dissonance required to say this when you're bloated Cheeto overlord using the same language multiple times every single day is utterly astounding. But he's actually fascist and a threat to democracy, ? Just so I understand, the only way he can legitimately call Trump a fascist, we can legitimately call Trump a fascist, is if Republicans illegitimately called Clinton, Obama, and Biden fascists, which they did. Do you think it's just rhetoric, name-calling? Do you think Republicans are incapable of being fascist? Because they're giving a credible impression otherwise. No, and they know hypocrisy is a feature, not a bug, in conservative thinking. They kind of treat it like it's a superpower because, like Sartre pointed out, they get to play with language. They get to live in an alternate reality where the left has to, constantly frame our arguments from a point of reality, from a point of truth, where they get to just have fun and do whatever the hell they want. And they treat it, like it's a weakness on our part. Of course, eventually it always catches up to them. It always catches up to the fascist movements, right? Oh, we're so strong. We're so victorious. Our military is so great. Our financial position is epic. All these things, all these lies. And then eventually reality comes crashing down and the chickens come home to roost, right? But in that moment of argument, they feel victorious when they lie through their fucking teeth. They think it's just rhetoric and name calling because that's what they do. And they assume everyone else thinks like them. The same reason why they expect we would want Epstein files covered up to protect Bill Clinton, because they can't imagine not having blind loyalty towards their political party and its top politicians. Absolutely. And you'll see this quite a bit with the Get a Job Parker YouTube channel. He does debates every single day with Republicans. And there's a cognitive dissonance here where they assume, first of all, they don't know the difference between a progressive and a liberal who supports neoliberals. They literally think we're all the same. And they literally think, Joe Biden supporters are Marxists. But they don't know what any of it actually means. And they assume that we support covering up Clinton's crimes, covering up Biden's crimes, whereas they, of course, because that's what they do. Now, neoliberals will, of course, support covering up Joe Biden's crimes, covering up Clinton's crimes. Progressives, as we all know, as we know, at least progressives and lefties, who are following politics know, we hate these motherfuckers. We would love to see Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in jail. We would absolutely love to see, judicial accountability when it comes to Nancy Pelosi and her fucking, her stock trades. We would love to see, her emails, Hillary Clinton. We'd love to see accountability when it comes to the crimes that she committed there. But it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter that they are being blatantly, visibly, obviously hypocritical. If conservatives didn't lie, they wouldn't have anything to say. I'll bet anything she called Obama the N-word, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay. Right. No, Obama was just black, so they didn't like him. It's crazy you can't even call a fascist anymore. That's how it works. That's how it works, right? Welcome back, John Axel. But hey, they would require the majority of Americans to understand anything from history, so that's a massive ask indeed. Right. So I mean, this is as they lock down control more and more on social media, as they legally create a new framework around the First Amendment where, right-wing speech is legal and left-wing speech is illegal, this hypocrisy will become more and more apparent because there'll always be Patricias. I keep pointing this out every stream, but, after World War II was over, there were still loyal Hitlerian Germans Sieg heiling in the rubble of their cities. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, right? It's like, I mean, this ideology brought you to complete and total ruin. You're sitting in a fucking pile of rubble that was once your home. Your family, died in a bombing after your, supposedly Ubermensch military got its ass kicked by the rest of the world. And they're still Sieg heiling. And they're still praising Hitler, even to this day, It's still a problem in Germany. These right-wing fascists are like, not my grandpa. Oh, I know he might have been a member of the SS, but, not that SS, right? So it's the same thing here. And this is why the Cenk Uygurs of the world, the MSNBC lefties of the world, who think dialogue is the answer, with the Tucker Carlsons of the world. And, of course, violence isn't the answer, right? So what's the solution? We have to take control of politics. We have to get in there however we can, as best, as legally as we can, and take control of the reins by force. They will hold on to that steering wheel and scream and beg and plead and call us every name in the book and say that we're the ones who don't believe in free speech and we're the ones that don't believe in democracy, while they demolish those concepts right in front of us, and accuse us of the very same that they are doing every single day, steering us directly off a cliff. We have an obligation to not be polite, to not be patient with these people. We have an obligation to remove them from political control. And of course, we need to do that without violence, because we can't do that without the moral high ground. So we need to avoid violence every step of the way until it's absolutely until we have absolutely no choice whatsoever. And they'll bring it to that point. To the lefties that want to get violent, let me tell you, they'll bring it to that point. They'll make it so that it's, just like JFK said, right? The tyrants that make, democracy impossible will make tyranny inevitable. I'm screwing up the quote here, but, they will make it so that violence is inevitable. They'll make it so that the only solution that we'll have in getting our rights back and getting our country back is to be more militant. Now, that isn't an advocation for it. I don't want to see that. I don't believe in left-wing violence in terms of getting us what we want, but I do believe in defending ourselves. And they're going to bring that violence right to our doorstep. But every step of the way, when we make a move, it needs to be done democratically as best as we can, and using nonviolent framing every step of the way as best as we can. But they will still call us fascists. They will still say that we're not the real Americans. They will scream and scream and scream that, no matter how hypocritical it looks. Even as we're handing them health care and education and making their lives better, they will still be screaming that we're, that we're trying to grab all their guns, and that we're trying to put all, turn their kids trans, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? They will always be screaming that, always. Then there's no debate to be had, Cenk Uygur. There's no debate to be had with these individuals. We must insist that we control government, and we must do it immediately, democratically, but we must insist that we have control over the government, because if we continue to pretend like there's some kind of debate to be had, that there's some kind of middle ground to be had with tyrants who don't believe in middle ground. They don't believe in middle ground. They believe in dominance. They want us to sit down, shut up, and accept complete and total domination. And eventually, they'll put a gun to our head and say, this is your new religion. They'll put a gun to our head and say, this is, this is our concept of democracy, and this is what your concept of democracy is going to be. Here's a list of things you're not allowed to say. Here's a list of things you're not allowed to think. And it's really our fault if we just continue to politely sit there quietly and accept these things, right? Because eventually, we know where they stand. They stand for dictatorship. They stand for tyranny. And if we refuse to stand up for the things that we believe in, then I guess ultimately we believe in what they believe in, right? Whether we truly do or not doesn't really matter. They're going to use force to make those things happen.
From the security services rushed into the bathroom and said shots fired, shelter in place. So that is what we ended up doing. We comforted each other because obviously it was a tense time, but I was really holding on to the fact that we hadn't heard any more gunshots. And to me, that could have been a positive sign that the shooter was no longer in any position to inflict more violence. But we didn't have cell reception, so we couldn't really tell what was going on. We didn't have an updated picture of what was happening. But we stayed there until Secret Service came and let us out, and then we were able to get out, reunite with whoever we were supposed to reunite with, our teams, as well as contact others to tell them that we were okay.
The incident has inevitably raised questions about security at the Washington Hilton Hotel where the dinner was held. DW's Washington Bureau Chief Ines Paul, reporting from the street just after she was evacuated from the hotel herself.
So here's an example of literally what I was just talking about right here, where look, I'm not going to do that. Let me just close this, please. Is there a way? I can't even close this. Hilarious. Subscribe and read. Okay, no. So this is literally Delaware over here, not asking for permission, not waiting for a debate, not having a discussion, with these fascists, but they're creating a task force to Trump-proof their own elections, to make sure that free and fair elections happen. They're not going to have some stupid debate about whether is it the right wing or the left wing stealing elections. They are going to acknowledge reality, and they are going to proceed as such, and they are going to try to Trump-proof their elections to make sure that Trump isn't able to send ICE to intimidate people, that he isn't able to stop the counting at 12 o'clock, that he isn't able to disregard and discredit mail-in ballots, right? Because, the lies are, all these things are bad and all these things are fraud. There's no proof of it. There's no evidence. They've never proved any of these things to be true. But they still continue to make the argument, and they expect us to engage in good faith while they engage in bad faith. While they purport lies and conspiracy theories, we're the ones, like Sart said, that have to argue from a place of good faith, a place of reality. They continue to argue from a place of fantasy and conspiracy, and we're supposed to meet them halfway. We're supposed to compromise with people that are trying to say mail-in ballots are somehow fraudulent. Our system is remarkably free of electoral fraud. It really is. It's actually quite remarkable. Delaware creates task force to Trump-proof its elections. Delaware launched a new elections task force that will focus largely on protecting the state's voting system from unconstitutional interference from the Trump administration. No debate needs to be had. No discussion about electoral security and the big bad boogeyman of mail-in ballots and, all these lies that Donald Trump shits out of his mouth. And we have to pretend like there's some honesty there, that there's some like any of these arguments are coming from a place of good faith, We know they're not. The evidence backs us up. Do we believe in democracy or not? Right? The U.S. Department of Justice has made Delaware one of its targets in its ongoing crusade to gain access to voter rolls and private voter information from all 50 states. Meanwhile, the Republican National Committee recently sued Delaware for access to its voter registration lists as part of a broader campaign to purge people it deems ineligible to vote. The reason, of course, they want to do that, there's no debate to be had here. The reason why they want to do that is that they want to see, okay, who's voting Democrat? Oh, wow, gee, they somehow were disqualified. Republicans are good to go. Democrats are committing fraud. There's no debate to be had here. This is why they want the rolls. How dare you, aspersions? How dare you say that? How you have no proof of that? We don't need a mind reading machine to know why they want the voter rolls. Okay, Governor Matt Mayer signed an executive order on April 22nd to create the Delaware Task Force on Free, Fair, and Secure Elections. So I mean, this is an example of what I'm talking about. If we can't do it democratically, if we don't have time to do it democratically, then we do have to go and step beyond and do things like executive orders. We have to do it as legally as possible, as democratically as possible, but we don't allow them to run down the clock, use spurious debates, use meaningless scare tactics to buy them time while they continue to steal, and corrupt, and pretend that the other side is acting in any kind of good faith, which, among other duties, seeks to further safeguard constitutionally protected state sovereignty from these kinds of federal outside intrusions, right? That's exactly what they are. Quote, I won't sugarcoat it. We're here today for one reason and one reason only, and that's our democracy is being threatened. No debate needs to be had here. It's obvious what's happening. And we're going to make a move. We're not going to sit on our hands. Said Governor Mayer at the press launch of the task force, quote, we're staring down the barrel of a crisis, the likes of which our nation has not seen after hearing calls from the federal government to take over state elections, right? Donald Trump, he's kind of a fool in a way, because he's literally telling us what the plan is every time he opens his fucking mouth. We get federal needs to take over state elections. We just can't have it this way. And of course, it's framed as, MSNBC and the rest. They'll try to both sides it, and they'll be like, well, is there a crisis? Is there fraud? We haven't found any proof, but is there some magic proof that you have, Scott Jennings, that we don't? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have some magic proof, but I'm not going to show it to you. Yeah, no, I have confirmation. I feel utterly confident that there's fraud here, but I'm not going to show you any evidence that I have. Yep, no, all I have is what you have, but I have extra information that you don't have, and I'm not going to show you what it is. All right, so that's, they're manufacturing a crisis. And the crisis is that manufactured crisis. Okay, the crisis isn't what we had before. The crisis is what they are creating, and we need to act. And that's exactly what this person is doing, this mayor is doing, or this governor or whatever is doing. The executive order calls on the task force to investigate a range of threats, including cybersecurity attacks, voter intimidation, and disinformation. But its language is quite clear that it includes federal overreach as a threat as well. Quote, experts agree that elections are most secure when administered by decentralized state and local officials. That's a fact. Donald Trump and the Republicans will say, no, it's not. There's lots of fraud. There's lots of fraud. Prove it. I don't have any proof, but I'm utterly confident, and Donald Trump said it. Reads the executive order. Quote, and any attempts to federalize control over elections undermines both security and of our democratic process and the constitutional separation of powers that has safeguarded our republic for over 250 years. Nuh-uh. Federal control over state elections is more safe than that, even though for the last 250 years, this has been the best way to do it, to create a fraud-free system. But now, because my dictator says otherwise, I don't have any proof to back it up, and I'm on mainstream media, so you're not going to hold me to it either. That's how it works. Scott Jennings gets to lie, gets mild pushback, gets to gish gallop his way through an argument, right, where you got to cut to commercial in 30 seconds. So, Mockler Schockler over there only gets, 15 seconds to try and, nail down Scott Jennings' gish gallop argument, where he makes an argument with 15 different falsehoods, none of them provable. And CNN doesn't hold him to any account. They don't sit down for 50 minutes and grill Scott Jennings. Wow, so this is a crisis. What proof do you have? Oh, Donald Trump said this. Well, that's not proof. Yeah, well, Ted Cruz said that. That's not proof. Well, you're a liberal. You're a liberal. You're being a liberal. You're running away from the question. You're running away from the debate. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So they don't do that to Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings gets to sit in front of the camera, pretend like there's a crisis, gish gallop his answer, right? 15 different falsehoods. Mockler gets 15 seconds to try to nail down one of them, cut to commercial. It's both sides. It's both sides. Yeah, I don't think it was staged. Yeah, I don't think it was staged. At this point, I don't think it was staged.
Said she noticed earlier how easy it was to enter the building.
So there was security, but again, I'm sure that there will be reporting about that. I was really surprised that I didn't have to show any identification and just a printed invitation, which, as I just said, I could have given to pretty much everyone. There is no picture on it. It's just like, a very typical piece of paper.
Donald Trump soon posted CCTV footage that corroborates this. It shows security guards manning a simple desk. A man is seen running past them before they react by drawing their guns. Trump also posted a photo of the purported suspect, apparently.
That's funny. DW over here censoring the guy's face. Every other media outlet isn't.
After he had been overpowered at the hotel. U.S. media say he's a 31-year-old mechanical engineer from California. U.S. officials did not immediately confirm the man's identity.
But I think you're going to find everything about him. No reason to talk about it now. But tomorrow at this time, long before this time, you're going to know a lot of things about him. They seem to think he was a lone wolf, and I feel that too.
It's the third major security incident or possible assassination attempt survived by President Trump, and the second caught on.
You see, and people say this one is staged as well. I think there's definitely some inconsistencies, but they say he's an actor. Like, he's not a very good actor. He plays himself in all of his movies and TV shows, but this is a very realistic reaction to pain. I mean, this is, even multi-million-dollar Hollywood actors can't, fake being in pain, like this, So it's just like the comment section in this article right over here about, is the rampant speculation about, is it staged or not? They make a great point where it's like, maybe if you don't lie about everything all the time, and random white lady over here says this administration is so corrupt and lies so much, the American media just goes along with it, that no one believes anything they say anymore. Trump using this incident to promote his corrupt ballroom hasn't helped, and that's what the first comment here is like. The first thing you say after the assassination attempt is, see, this is why the ballroom is why it's important, probably isn't helping. But really, I mean, that's on point for Trump. That's, the Trump, he's a toxic narcissist. He could be like, imagine Trump in Jurassic Park, and he's in the Jeep, being chased by the T-Rex. He's not thinking about the T-Rex. He's not thinking about the Jeep. He's not thinking about getting away. He's thinking about, how does this make me look? You know what I mean? Can someone take a picture of me looking like a hero? It's hard to fathom for your average person who isn't as mentally ill as Donald Trump, right? Because you're like, I want to live. I want to get out of here. There's a fucking T-Rex chasing me, all these other, but Donald Trump is thinking like, how do I look? Do I look good? Are people thinking about me? Does the T-Rex like me? You know what I mean? And of course, there's other calculations there, right? I don't want to die and things like that. But the overwhelming priority in Donald Trump's mind is the perception of Donald Trump, right? He's looking at the T-Rex. He's like, man, that guy would look great in a MAGA hat. It's hard for a healthy, normal mind to fathom how unhealthy Donald Trump is. So him making this about the ballroom seems totally insane to us. Totally crazy that you would bring this up. But for Donald Trump, it makes perfect sense. 1 + 1 = 2.
or possible assassination attempt survived by President Trump.
I mean, fuck
and the
that piece
second
of shit.
caught on camera.
Dana White says that he isn't political, right? This is the new I'm libertarian refuge of right-wingers who are too ashamed to admit that they're right-wing. Oh, thank you, Liddy Bruz, for that. Yeah, so because he hasn't been convicted yet, they blur his face. Okay. But no, Dana White and Joe Rogan, the rest of them, I'm politically homeless. I'm independent. That's the new refuge for right-wingers who are too ashamed to admit that they're right-wing.
During a campaign rally in July 2024, a gunman opened fire on Trump from a rooftop.
Yeah, I mean, Liddy, U.S. media used to be like that as well, where it was like, innocent until proven guilty. They would see, even though a person had just, killed somebody, they'd be like, the person has been accused of a crime. There used to be laws and rules around that. They threw that away a long time ago. No, simply Steve, the reports that I've heard, at least, most recently in the morning here, he had a shotgun, a pistol, and some knives that he had just purchased in California before hopping on a train and making the trip to D.C. Honestly, he really does sound like a mentally ill individual. He made a video game. I bought it on Steam. I played it this morning. It has nothing to do with politics. It's a science-based video game. It's not very good. If you'd like me to play it for you, I can play it for you, but it's kind of a bad game. There's nothing political about it. But it really does seem like it's undiagnosed mental illness. Like, this guy should have been seeing a therapist. He should have been on some pills. I would say some schizophrenia. Apparently the message that he sent his family was like, I'm going to be a hero. You're happy federal assassin, something like that, what he said. It really does sound like he was living in a complete fucking fantasy world here. Yeah, Liddy Bruz. Yeah, that's great. I love that. How the hell do you get guns on a train? Pretty easily. pretty fucking easily. Let's be frank. It's not like hopping on a plane.
Grazing his right ear. Investigators have also described the suspect in that case as a lone wolf assailant.
Well, just before the show, I talked to our correspondent, Misha Komodowski in Washington, who was with his colleagues Enos and Janelle inside the hotel when the shooting took place, and he explained to me what he witnessed there.
Because America, and fuck
Everything started pretty much normally. People were gathering around different parts of the Washington Hilton because the networks were hosting their usual pre-parties where colleagues could talk and could raise a glass to the First Amendment before heading to the main area, and then guests made their way gradually downstairs to the main ballroom where the president was seated and where the guests were seated. And yeah, it felt surreal. Donald Trump was immediately covered by Secret Service agents, as we're about to see on the screens here. They basically jumped on top of him to shield him. Cabinet members were also rushed out, and a lot of people in the room appeared to be dropping to the floor because no one really knew what was happening at first. And it wasn't clear that these were gunshots. Some people thought it might have been a protest or something, especially since we had to walk through, we had to walk past them.
Sure, I agree with that, but I mean, it has happened quite frequently. This is like the third or fourth time, and there's a lot of poignant comments being made about, this one here from Fred Gutenberg. If you were horrified last night watching our elected leaders run and scramble because of gun violence, just imagine how my daughter Jamie felt in school running from an active shooter before she was killed. Now becomes a part of the solution and only vote for people determined to address gun violence in America. Well, is voting for rampant, pro-Zionist, corrupt politicians, is that good enough? Who don't do a single thing about gun violence like Barack Obama? Will you settle for that? Covey over here saying, hearing Erica Kirk say, quote, "I just want to go home," doesn't move me because those were likely the last words of hundreds of school children who never made it home because, unlike her, they didn't have a security detail. And right now, I was watching mainstream media all this morning, and the conversation has nothing to do with gun violence. Conversation has nothing to do with mental illness. The conversation hasn't directly veered into what about the rhetoric? What about the rhetoric? We got to do something about these nasty lefties burning us on Twitter. But that's the next stage. That's where it's going to go. It certainly isn't going to go into a robust conversation about what our elected officials can do about this insane gun violence. Absolutely not. Sure, Jeremy, it is a distraction there. I mean, but I'm really not convinced so far that this is planned. Donald Trump kind of made a point where, in the press conference where he's like, people who do things like me, they get a lot of attention. It's like, yeah, people that destroy countries, dictators and tyrants, they do become targets for mentally ill people who take it upon themselves, right, to do these kind of actions, right? So they're, he's like, I'm honored that mentally ill people with guns try to kill me. It's quite an honor. It means I'm doing something right. Right. Because, the assumption, of course, that it's all left-wingers, it's just trans people that are doing this, right?
A whole line of demonstrators on the way into the hotel. And once it became clear something was wrong, people just reacted instinctively, almost like a knee-jerk reaction. Some got onto
Simply, Steve, I would advise you to keep those opinions to yourself if you don't want to break TOS, and I certainly am not allowed to agree with them, or else I, too, would be breaking TOS.
Others kept filming and taking pictures without taking any cover. It was a mix of confusion, a mix of adrenaline, if I may, and for a moment it actually seemed like the dinner might continue, but they eventually decided to cancel and said they would reschedule it within the next 30 days. And Pablo, as for security, it honestly felt pretty standard for the White House Correspondents' dinner, same as the past few years. I've been to 4 of those in a row, and I have to say it was pretty normal. To get into the hotel, all you needed was
the dinner shouldn't be happening. The entire thing is a farce. The entire press correspondence dinner, the whole thing is a fucking joke. It's supposed to be a celebration of free speech, and of course Donald Trump turned it into an opportunity to praise his tyranny, his dictatorship, right?
Perforated piece of paper, a ticket. It wasn't even in your name. Just a perforated slip of paper with the event name and your table number. That alone could get you past the outer police cordon, which sent out since the hotel is still operating as usual. It's a functioning business with people checking in and checking out.
If I was a president, I would kill the whole thing. I would kill the whole thing. And how, if I was president, how I would praise the media and praise free speech and the First Amendment. I would have like a 6-hour-long press conference and allow the press to grill the shit out of me, right? Just to show that I believe in free speech, that I believe in freedom of the press. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna have everyone gets an hour with the president. And fucking CBS, Fox News, everyone gets a fucking hour with the president. And this is how I'm going to honor free speech and the freedom of the press. I'm not going to honor freedom of the press by having fucking magicians and comedians do light roasting of me on stage while everyone eats, fancy food and fucking claps for each other and gives each other accolades and stuff. It's a goddamn, I'd rather go to a fucking gay bathhouse. If I want to see masturbation, I'd go to a fucking gay bathhouse. You know what I mean? That's how a president should honor freedom of the press, is that he should allow the press to fucking grill him for 6 to 8 hours. It's a goddamn circle jerk. So the whole thing's a goddamn joke. And of course, Donald Trump, the plan was to turn it into an opportunity. According to some reports that I've read, the plan was he was going to do this speech where he absolutely shit on the media, on the concept, like literally, makes a farce of the concept of free media, of the First Amendment, and then that motherfucker was going to leave. He was going to shit on the media, shit on the free press, and then the motherfucker was going to leave. He wasn't going to hear any of the light roasting or any of the press, giving themselves accolades or anything like that. He's like, "You're doing a terrible job. You're the reason why America sucks. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm actually really great. I'm going to do everything I can to destroy you. Thank you so much. Applaud me. Now applaud me like good little seals. Good job. Say thank you as I spit in your face. Now I'm going to go and have a nap and tweet for 3 hours." That was the fucking plan. The whole thing is a goddamn farce.
And then to get into the ballroom downstairs, you showed the same ticket again, but without any ID check. And only then you went through the usual security screening, the TSA live screening with the metal detectors and Secret Service agents.
All right, that sounds, I mean, I'm sure that's certainly raising a lot of questions with regards to security. And of course, we can't forget that a Secret Service agent was hit. What do we know about that?
I wish we had time. I wish we had, and it wasn't just all Donald Trump and war and fucking chaos, so we could focus on that. But the media consolidation and monopolization that Donald Trump is totally down for, right? Because the more it can be consolidated, the more it can be owned by individuals who are, of course, right-wing oligarchs. The more they don't care about quality, they care about messaging. That's their number one priority. And I actually have a link of that, that kind of gives us a behind-the-scenes look of what it's like right now with these multi-billion-dollar oligarchs who control media. So maybe after this clip, I'll show that one.
We don't know their identity, but what we do know is
okay. So now we're getting into some information about the guy. Let's get to that.
That the agent sustained non-life-threatening injuries thanks to protective gear. They were hit in a torso or chest at close range during an exchange of gunfire near the main checkpoint.
Holy shit, this playback is on normal. It literally sounds like I put it on slow. I'm going to do 1.25 now because we're used to 2.0.
The main screening area outside the ballroom where President Trump was attending, and he confirmed that the agent was wearing a bulletproof vest, and that stopped the round.
So, I mean, the thing that's most suspicious to me, not to get conspiratorial here, but the thing that's most suspicious is that, they popped off 4 or 5 shots at this guy, missed every shot, but they still were able, he was still able to be apprehended. But, we don't have the footage, right? He runs off frame and then the shooting starts. But we do know the guy was fast as fuck. Guy was Keemstar over here. He was incredibly fast, so he's probably a very hard target to hit. And he, of course, ran into security that was at the, at the entrance there, and they were probably able to, he got one shot off, and then they were able to tackle the guy. So, I mean, that's very plausible. I don't know if you've ever, to the people that haven't fired a gun, and really their only experience with guns is like movies and TV. They always show, the guy hitting their targets, right? Or unless it's the bad guy, then he's missing everything. But go ahead and, go out to a gun range and, take a pistol or a rifle or a shotgun to a gun range and try to hit a target. Try to hit a stationary target, and be amazed at how difficult it is. Like, wow, I thought this was like point and click. I thought this was easy, like in Counter-Strike, right? Now try to hit a moving target with that pistol, and you'll be shocked. I mean, bullets they'll whiz right by your head, they'll whiz right by your body. Think about World War I and the soldiers that went over the top. Right, and they're getting automatic machine gun raking both, going back and forth, raking both sides, and there's still individuals that made it through that, because it's actually quite difficult to hit a moving target, especially, under duress and in that chaos and the, first few seconds. So to me, that's the most suspicious, is that they were, they shot at the guy and they didn't hit him. But if you understand anything about ballistics, anything about firing a gun, you would know that, well, it's a miracle no one else was hit, right? It's a miracle no one else was actually tagged with a stray bullet there, because it's actually pretty goddamn difficult to hit a moving target.
What can you tell us about the suspect?
Well, the suspect has been identified as a 31-year-old man. There's also security footage shared by President Donald Trump that shows a man suddenly sprinting through that screening area and past Secret Service officers.
I think, honestly, one of the reasons why all the agents weren't firing is that they couldn't get a clear shot, that other agents were in the line of fire, and, of course, civilians were in the line of fire. And security and such, they're trained to avoid crossfire, to avoid, hitting their own people and hitting civilians. So you pull out your weapon and you try to line up a shot, and you're like, oh shit, Steve is right there. Or like, oh shit, there's the crowd behind him. I don't have a shot, looking for that shot. So, it's not crazy. It's not too crazy to think that really only one, even though everyone was strapped, there was really only one agent that had any kind of clear line of sight to open fire, right? Welcome, German Cow. Thank you for coming back. Also, welcome, Woke Patriot. Always good to see you. Clutch Cargo. All you folks, all you lurkers, thank you for coming in. Jeremy reminds me of the Pearl Jam song.
You can see law enforcement immediately react, turning toward him with guns before rushing in and taking him down
watch the speed
off
of this
camera.
guy
That's
over
exactly the footage I'm talking
It's
about.
hard to line up
Extraordinary
a
scene
shot
in
when
the very
when
heart of
someone's
Washington,
moving that
D.C. At the hotel where like the cabinet members and the president himself were gathered to celebrate the First Amendment.
It's pretty terrifying stuff, to say the least. Now, Misha, Donald Trump spoke to the media shortly after the shooting. So let's take a listen to what he had to say.
We don't need
Nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run. Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass. No, it's a dangerous profession, but I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job as part of the job. It is a dangerous. I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous.
He's leaning forward. He's moving.
All right. Well, there was Donald Trump finding even the time to crack a joke even there in between everything. What more did Donald Trump have to say, Misha?
Well, take a look at the scene here. Again, like we saw journalists wearing tuxedos and gowns instead of our work clothes, just because people were rushed from the hotel directly to the White House, to the press briefing room where President Trump was going to give that press conference. And he described the White House Correspondents' Dinner as an event for freedom of speech that unexpectedly unified Republicans, unified Democrats, and the press in a beautiful way, as he said, amid the crisis. President Trump expressed his desire to continue the dinner within the next 30 days or something, but deferred to law enforcement, and he announced plans to reschedule it soon, refusing to let violence, as he said, take over the American society. Quite different language about the White House Correspondents' Dinner if you compare it to what he had said in the past.
Says the leader of the party encouraging full-blown gun anarchy. Says the leader of the party that unironically gets in front of cameras on mainstream TV in front of millions of people and says we need to arm teachers with guns. You know, your 60-year-old English teacher needs to be strapped with a 9. We got to do something about this violence. What are we going to do? In a speech, he mentioned the Dow stock market and the ballroom. Yeah, I mean, that's just Trump. You know, that's like, it's easy to think that, oh, there's some conspiracy, but he would be sinking on the Titanic, right? He'd be on the fucking Titanic, the goddamn boat's sinking, and he's like, okay, I know the boat's sinking, but have you seen the goddamn Dow? It's unbelievable, folks. If he thought that would make him look better. Or he's like, you know, I know everyone's concerned about the sinking boat, but how does my tux look? Do I not look handsome? I look like a handsome boy. It's toxic narcissism. He's mentally ill.
Mind you that President Trump, it was President Trump's first dinner that he attended as the United States president.
Turn that off.
Now he was calling for
I love
unity.
the band.
It sounds like it. So, of course,
really
this shooting is just days, essentially, from the state visit of King Charles and Queen Camilla to the United States.
Thirsty.
So is this shooting going to affect that trip? What's known about the security and the concerns that, of course, this has raised with regards to, this state visit?
Oh, yada, yada.
Well, indeed, it will affect the schedule, and this shooting has really put security front and center here in Washington, D.C. So if you put the shooting against, if you put this visit against that backdrop, the upcoming visit by the royal couple is taking an added significance. It's going to be a 4-day trip, as we know, hosted by President Trump, by First Lady Melania Trump. It kicks off Monday and will include events in the White House. It will include events like all over D.C. Now with even tighter coordination between the United States and the United Kingdom security teams in light of what just happened last night.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Misha. Great to get that update from you, and I hope you have a relaxing Sunday. DW's Misha Komodowski in Washington, D.C. All right, let's speak now to Hans Jakob Schindler, Senior Director of the Counter-Extremism Project.
Holy shit, man. Okay. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I bet he's the nicest grandpa you've ever seen, but dude looks like a funeral director.
Hans Jakob is joining us from here in Berlin. Right, welcome to DW News. So there have been...
I mean, can you imagine how Biden would be handling this sinking ship situation? Oh my God, it'd be so embarrassing. Not like me. I'm handling it really well. Everyone's been saying, wow, Trump, you're handling this sinking ship situation so well.
several security incidents involving Donald Trump over the past few years, one of which, of course, resulted in him being shot in the ear back in 2024. What's your take on how effective his security is?
Look, quite very clearly during the election campaign in the event, security system actually worked. It did what it was designed to do. It had several layers of security. In the final one, when it came to the actual weapons check, held out, and they were able to...
It's like, I would like to shit on the security, but they basically did exactly what their job was. They did a pretty good job, I would say. You know, I mean, they got him before the dude didn't even get into the main arena hall, right? I mean, should there have been, I don't know, maybe one more layer of, you know, of security before dude got through there? Yeah, sure, you could, you know, hindsight 2020, but I don't know. I think security basically did a pretty good job. The one thing that they did fail on was that Trump was sitting up there for a good solid 60 seconds before he was escorted off the stage. You know, I would say, 30 seconds, there was already Secret Service surrounding him, but it took like 60 seconds to get him off the stage, and he did fall over, by the way.
Prevent the individual from getting into the ballroom. So there is, of course, some discussion to be had on how this could go, that he was already inside the building with a weapon, but it did work. No one except for this one agent was hurt.
I'm working on a deal with the iceberg right now as we speak. Some say it's going to be the greatest deal that we've ever seen in our lives. Just wait and see. In 2 more weeks, we're going to have a deal with the iceberg, folks.
Right, now the acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche says the suspect for the shooting is still under investigation, but that he was likely targeting officials, including the president. What's the state of political violence in the U.S.?
Over the last couple of years, unfortunately, there's been an uptick of political violence on really both sides, from the right-wing extremists, where there was always a responsibility towards violence. We've, unfortunately, both in North America, but also here in Europe, seen an uptick of violence against other human beings from left-wing extremists. While in the past, left-wing extremist violence was more...
Really? Really? Tommy Robinson... and his fucking crew burning down hotels. You got right-wingers on social media every single day calling for the death of leftists. Violent incidents 10-1 being caused by right-wingers. But it's Mr. Gravestone face over here, Mr. fucking Crypt Keeper over here. It's left-wingers. Man, they won't be satisfied until it's illegal for us to have an opinion. And then of course the violence isn't going to stop. And then they're going to, we got to round them up. Now they have opinions in secret. They're getting together in secret. They're meeting in secret, and they have opinions, left-wing opinions. What are we going to do? We got to round them up. Anybody that even smells socialist or liberal in any kind of way, we have to purge them from our society. Sound fucking familiar? Man, what a piece of shit. I mean, you got right-wingers literally marching in the streets, social media, giddy in their calls for violence, but it's somehow the left wing. Man, any pushback, by the way, on DW on this? Any pushback at all?
Concentrated on infrastructure, cars, things. There has been a tendency towards violence towards...
We're talking about protests against cars and spraying cornstarch on the wall. That's comparative to gun violence, to assassination attempts. Yeah, anyone that smells like weed, unless they have a Make America Great Again hat or reform shirt on.
Individuals, including political violence towards individuals, in particular in the last 2.5 years since October 7th. Right.
October 7th. He slipped into his Israel Zionist talking points there. Wow. We can't catch a fucking break, man. We do everything we do, we try to do nonviolent, right? Spray cornstarch instead of paint. Shut down a freeway for a couple hours to try and make a point, right? Hurting nobody. And we're the source of political assassinations. Man, what bullpucky.
All right, but is it only from...
Okay, here we go. Yeah, give me some pushback, motherfucker. You better.
Left-wing extremists, or are there kind of more groups involved?
No, I mean, as I said...
They're my focus. I bring them up first, but, I guess the right wing does some violence sometimes.
Has been always a constant level of political violence also from the extreme right. There's some very high-ranking state officials that died last year that were killed in their house.
Right. So his examples against the left was us blocking freeways and spray painting stuff. Oh, yeah, but there was also some right-wing groups that straight up fucking killed people. I mean, both sides, though. October 7th, but Hamas. I mean, wait a minute. What are we talking about again? Oh, sorry. No, this right-wingers sometimes kill people, but left-wingers will block a freeway. Have you heard that? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And they smell like marijuana, which I would never smoke.
So that's has always happened. What happens is that there is an additional amount of violence. And then, of course, there has been violence from kind of conspiratorial individuals who have very individualized.
Who oftentimes lean right. A lot of the time we see them, they're so far right, they're like Nick Fuentes right, and they go after other right-wing figures because they're not right-wing enough. Yeah, female eunuchs. Yeah, he's trying to win back Joe Rogan voters, right?
Conspiratorial theories on why the world works.
That was an unscheduled tourist event, simply, Steve. Get your mind right.
It works.
Now, gun violence is common in the United States when you compare it to, say, other countries, say, here in Europe, for example. But what can actually be done to prevent shootings of this kind that we've just seen in Washington, D.C. from taking place? Now, you talked us through, say, how the security process functioned in this event in Washington. But can it be tighter, or how do security specialists or experts deal with
the lone actor, lone perpetrator, or individual?
So now he's talking about lone wolf stuff.
Perpetrator phenomenon is just.
Hey, Smash, always good to see you. Thank you for coming back.
It's about the hardest one to counter for security agencies because there is no network involved. There's no preparation involved. Now, with the gun control laws in America the way they are, even procuring a gun is not something that triggers any particular red alerts. So it's really tough. You have to rely on the security in the end at the place where the event is happening. That's easier when it's the American president. It's much harder when it's a Christmas market in Germany, of course.
Yeah, of course. Now, we've only got about 40 seconds left, but how do you see the Trump administration dealing with this incident? And is there actually enough trust in the process, or at least the political process, and in the US?
Look, I mean, I don't think it's a great revelation that there are problems within the Trump administration's handling of security issues. There's been a very much concentration on immigration, illegal immigration checks, where a lot of resources went in, while other crime areas were not quite as well resourced, and there's a lot of reshuffling of personnel. Now, the way that the president...
German, I've literally no clue who Hans Jacob Schindler is. Is that his fucking name, Schindler? Seems like an obscure person in a semi-important role in German counterterrorism, especially Islam. And he sits in stuff connected to Auschwitz. What? Not that Auschwitz, not the 1930s Auschwitz, I would hope. Yeah, no problem, John Axel. Thank you for the view. I always appreciate you coming in. But yeah, get some sleep. I mean, these guys, they're on a list. There's a list, right? There's like, oh, hey, I used to work for this agency. I used to work for this department. If something comes up in the news, you can, give me $1,000 or give me $500 or give me a couple $100. And then you can do an interview with me and claim that I'm an expert, and I will happily give you my opinion on things. I mean, the fact that he said, he's bringing up October 7th really tells me, what list they pulled this motherfucker off, right?
Last night was very different how he reacted in the past, so not immediately.
Like, what are we doing bringing up October 7th here, right? And of course, his go-to is that the rise of left-wing terrorism, and then he gets, The host is like, are you sure it's just left-wingers? I mean, oh, yeah, I mean, right-wingers who are killing motherfuckers, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're doing that all day, but these lefties are spraying cornstarch on the Mona Lisa. That shit is fucked. October 7th.
Attacking his political opponents, maybe there's a learning curve.
All right, great to get your analysis there, Hans Jakob.
Yeah, thanks so much. Now go ahead and back to the fucking graveyard. I think you got some holes to dig, motherfucker.
Jakob Schindler, Senior Director of the Counter-Extremism Project. Thanks so much.
I'm now joined by Bruce Hoffman. He's a Senior Fellow for Counterterrorism and Homeland Security at the Council on Foreign Relations.
Right, so here's another motherfucking ex-spook to give us his opinion. I'm curious what he has to say.
The author of God, Guns, and Sedition, Far-Right Terrorism in America.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Looks like this guy wants to talk about right-wing terrorism, which might be a little bit more dangerous. I don't know. It's probably both sides. Greta Thunberg or some psycho Nick Fuentes fan. Same fucking diff. Come on.
Bruce, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, Liddy, yeah.
So after so many attacks in recent years, are you surprised the Guzman was able to get so close to the U.S. president?
Yes, I am.
although at the same time, the hotel was a public venue. The gunman had apparently rented a room there, so as a guest had easy access, not just to his room, obviously, but even to the space in front of where the Correspondents' dinner was being held. So this will certainly prompt, I think, a very thorough review of security at all presidential and indeed cabinet member events going forward.
Now, as we just heard in the report there, this is the third serious attempt on the U.S. president's life. Is it fair to say that political violence is becoming a more common feature of American life?
It's not just fair, it's accurate to say that. For example, last year, threats to members of Congress more than doubled compared to the figure in 2017. So on an annual basis, there were some 10,000 threats.
Go on social media every day. Bunch of right-wingers with anime profiles literally calling for the death and assassination of left-wingers and all the like motherfucking religious extremists who, of course, support right-wing movements. Getting in front of the camera. Go to Right Wing Watch. I could show you clips right now. Kill them all, kill them all, kill them all. In their heart. Oh, we should kill their soul. Okay. Sure.
Against members of Congress that were taken seriously by the U.S. Capitol Police. This would be the 13th, what I would regard as a major assassination attempt or kidnap attempt against a major American political figure since 2017. It affects members of both parties, not just one. But of course, President Trump in particular, who has been a controversial president.
Those look like some yummy salads. This makes me want a salad. Looks like some good greens there.
It's almost unprecedented, at least that I can think of, that a sitting president will now have accumulated 3 separate serious assassination attempts.
Yeah. Well, that means I'm doing a great job. Didn't you know that? I mean, you know, when you're really making changes, when you're taking a big fat piss on the Constitution, all of a sudden a lot of people get riled up. It probably means I'm doing a great job.
So what exactly is behind this wave of violence? Is it a guns issue, political rhetoric, or a mental health crisis, as often is claimed?
I think it's all 3 of those things. Look, just last year, there was a poll of persons who identify themselves as Democrats, and some 40% stated or agreed with the statement that it would be justifiable to use force to remove President Trump from office. I mean, that's astonishing that nearly half of self-identified Democrats say.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Banker, for that little bit of information, that little bit of context on the guy. I mean, the fact that he's like, the first thing he's bringing up is left-wing violence. It's the rise of left-wing violence, and had the reporter, the journalist there, not pushed back, that's where he would have left it. You know, since October 7th, the rise of left-wing violence, had the reporter not pushed back, like, is it really just left-wingers? That's where he would have left it and moved on to his next thought. It really says a lot. It really does say a lot. Okay. We're just going to ignore. I mean, because, like, how many times do I need to say it, right? I mean, just like, it's 10-1. It's 10-1. Right wingers, or, you know, in some cases, apolitical. You know, a lot of these guys that we're seeing in the United States commit mass shootings, just straight up apolitical. They're not even paying attention to things, and it's just, you know, it's an unaddressed mental health crisis. But 9 times out of 10, if they're politically motivated, they're coming from the right wing. Let's not take guns away, LOL. Welcome back, Lee. Always good to see OG Lee in this motherfucker. Always good to see you, dude. But no, yeah, let's avoid the discussion about gun anarchy. Let's avoid the discussion about, I mean, the guy was able to, like, purchase a gun and then hop on a train. Let's avoid that discussion. And let's talk about, you know, post October 7th leftism. Oh my God. Oh my God. Someone lock up Greta Thunberg already. She's trying to give food and medicine to Palestinians. Fucking crazy.
That in a democracy. But you know, when President Biden was president, when Republicans or self-identified Republicans were asked the same question, it was nearly an identical percentage of nearly 40% of Republicans said it was justified to use force to remove President Biden from office. So we see a country that is very divided, that's very fractured, that has ready access to firearms, and as you noted also, where many people have mental health issues that not just motivate them or inspire them, but actually animate them to go out and commit these acts of violence against elected public officials.
Now, you just said that we're seeing numbers indicating people are willing to use political violence or see it as justified, both on the left and the right. Are there any other unifying factors between people who are ready to carry out these violent acts like the ones we saw yesterday?
At this moment, no, because when you go back just the past 8 or 9 years, you see a very serious attempt against Republicans at a baseball practice in 2017 that nearly resulted in the death of the then majority leader, well, then and now majority leader Steve Scalise.
No, I remember that. No, I remember that. It was fucking Rand Paul was there. A bunch of fucking Republicans were there. It was a big old fucking shootout happening. Yeah, I remember that.
Louisiana. You saw an incident just a few years ago in California where a man armed with a hammer attempted to murder then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat. Her husband was home instead, and he was very seriously injured. You've seen.
Pretty sure it was right wingers committing that violence at the baseball field. Pretty sure, if I remember that story correctly. I don't think it was left winger. It was left wing influence, but I could be wrong on that one. Germany, there were 7 right-wing politically motivated crimes for every left-wing motivated crime. Everywhere you look in the West, it's the same. No. But Hassan Parker, did you consider that, Banker? Hassan Parker said we deserve 9/11. So there you go. Wrap it up, buddy. Wrap it up. Nailed him. Got him. I'll take my job at Fox News, please.
Kidnap plots against the Democratic governor of Michigan, for example, before the 2020 election. And of course, the assassination just this past September of Charlie Kirk, who was a leading voice in the conservative and Republican parties.
Now, during the last several election cycles, we've seen some people call...
Who shot him? Who shot him? A fucking right-winger. A right-winger, dude. But, I mean, that one's filled with all kinds of holes. You know, his parents were right-wingers. That one's filled with all kinds of holes. He disassembled the weapon, crawled up the ladder, reassembled the weapon, took the shot, disassembled the weapon, hid it in a tree, left, came back to get the weapon. And the whole thing is fucking ridiculous. The whole thing is fucking ridiculous. No, exactly, female eunuchs, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And that's always where my criticism is coming from, is like, what the fuck is this guy talking about with China? What the fuck is this guy talking about with Russia? I got a clip in my fucking shit list. The last clip I put in the shit list in the Discord is Hassan fucking blaming Ukraine for getting invaded. Right? It's not his uncouth comments about 9/11 or Hamas that are really troublesome. It's his overt support of anti-democratic totalitarian governments. But who cares about that? We want to be totalitarians. We want to be the next dictator. We want to be the next Xi Jinping. We want to be the next Putin. So we kind of agree with that. That scary 9/11 comment, though, oh my God, where he, sloppily tried to describe blowback. Oh my God.
For both sides to tame the rhetoric down, to kind of lower the volume. But beyond that, are you seeing any real political...
DW, man, get the dick out of your mouth. Fuck you, DW. This fucking robot, by the way, on the left. This motherfucking android over here, dude. Does he sit in the mirror and try to be this way? Or is that just his natural demeanor? Motherfucker looks like he fell out of a rubber mold.
Attempts to quell violence like this in the United States.
No, I think there's rhetoric in the aftermath of these tragedies or near tragedies that attempt to diffuse the
rhetoric,
fervor that one sees in support of political violence. But I think unity in the United States has remained elusive. And at a time when the United States is involved with a highly contentious war with Iran, when the cost of living is going up.
Nick Fuentes being allowed to basically foment violence, these right-wing extremists basically being allowed to say that we're demons and we're heathens and that, we're less than human. Yeah, I mean, the rhetoric, absolutely. The best that they can do is a pampered left-wing idiot sloppily describing blowback when it comes to the left. You have to go to a protest and put a microphone in front of a completely rando motherfucker who's shouting from the river to the sea to get any kind of left-winger who is advocating for violence, right? Any left-winger that is in front of a camera is like a political pundit of any kind. They're not advocating for violence. Any of the left-wing thought leaders, any of the left-wing politicians, any left-winger worth a damn is hammering away at the nonviolent rhetoric. Your average right-wing pundit is like we got to get them. We got to get them all. We got to get them before they get us. We got to do something about this. We got to get ICE to scoop them up. We got to make left-wing rhetoric illegal. We have to, these are demons. You got Alex Jones over here straight up calling us demons, blood-drinking demons, right? Dehumanizing us. Nick Fuentes over here saying my biggest criticism of Trump is that he's not Adolf Hitler. Right, and it's like the both sides shit. I mean, there was a great meme that Woke Patriot gave us here that I got ready for this, in the activism resources here, but it perfectly describes the whole situation. You got side A over here. What's that? 5, 6, 7. Side B, 3,000. C, both sides do it. There's literally no difference between them. I'm incredibly intelligent. Both sides. 6, 7. What's the difference?
Now even accelerated by the cost of gasoline. There's lots of even additional factors that are making people even more unnerved, perhaps more angry, perhaps more frustrated.
Let me show you. I'm going to
Given
show you
those
one
three
of the clips
elements
from
you talked
Right Wing
about,
Watch,
political
just to give you an
divisiveness,
example.
access to guns, and mental health, that becomes a very powerful witch's brew that I think suggests last night's incident won't be the last, unfortunately and tragically, that will be witnessed.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. How do I get on one of these fucking lists? How do I get on one of these fucking lists and I can get a couple cold couple $100 to say some absolute stupid bullshit in front of the fucking world? So let me just show you. Let me just go to Right Wing Watch here and just give you an example of what we're dealing with here. Just your average right winger, these guys out here. They say all kinds of crazy shit. Okay, I mean, this guy over here says Democrats are being led by the minions and the voices of darkness. This is quite mild, actually, compared to what some of the shit that they say here. Let me just see if I can find you a good one. Trump is a prophet and a king. Let's see here. Okay, violence against women. I could show you one there. Joel Webbin here says gender equality is a Jewish plot to eradicate white people. I just want to get you a good one here. They say lines at the airport. Boy, they say a lot of stupid ass shit. Here we go. Christian national. So this guy with the mustache over here, every single day he's saying shit like this. Every single day he's saying shit like this and talking to people who say shit like this.
We are facing...
Christian nationalists call for the destruction of their political enemies by any means necessary. Now, please, so this was like a month ago, but he's literally doing it every single day. He's literally doing it every single day. Go ahead. Find me an equivalent clip. Find me Hassan Parker saying we have to destroy our enemies by any means necessary. Not politically, right? I'm always referencing everyone. I say take over, I'm saying politics, right? When I'm saying we need to fight back, I'm saying politically, right? Everything that I say is coached in nonviolent direct political resistance, right? That's the entire framework of the 3-step program, right? Find me an equivalent. Find me a left-winger that's just getting up there with a big fucking shit-eating grin and saying, we got to kill Nazis and we got to kill the right wing by any means necessary. Fuck them up, blow them up, do whatever we can, round them up. We should make camps and put them in there. Oh, I've never heard of that before. Right? Find me an equivalent clip. He's doing this shit every single day.
Evil in our day that our grandparents didn't have to face. That's just the reality because of the degradation of our culture and the disintegration of, or the apostatization, shall we say, of America, walking away from the faith that made this country great.
Yeah.
We are descending more and more into cultural chaos.
He's literally, his cup has the same symbol that Pete Hegseth has tattooed on his chest, the Christian Crusader symbol. And look, I don't think I need to get into the fucking history of the Crusades, but they were a little bit violent. Just a little bit. Motherfuckers would go town to town, knock on your door, and say, you're converting to the religion or I'm lopping your head off right here. Right here and now. I'm going to murder you. I'm going to murder your family. I'm going to burn this entire village down unless you convert to my religion. The Pope told me to do it. The motherfucking Pope told me to do it. And God has my back. So what do you have to say? As sharpening his blade. And this motherfucker makes it just as like, oh yeah, that's the symbol I put in my coffee cup. Yeah, Christian Crusades, yeah, mass murder and forcing people into my religion by violence. Those goddamn left-wingers. Those goddamn left-wingers, they're so dangerous.
And we are seeing real rank idolatry and evil, child sacrifice, child mutilation. We are seeing such unbelievable wickedness.
Right.
We need to understand.
That's why I vote for Donald Trump. Best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, king of the pedophiles.
Like we need to be equipped with the Psalms, to pray and sing these, because we were given our offensive weapon in this battle, in this spiritual war that we are in, is the sword of the Spirit.
Wow, motherfucker, is that your best sweatshirt that you roll out of bed? Really? What's the 1819 symbolize? What massive right-wing violent movement happened in 1819?
And we need to be able to wield it effectively, and not leave some of it on the shelf. Like, oh, we don't want to use the imprecatory Psalms; those are too harsh. Well, those are actually what's needed in many of these situations. But
wow, blood running through the streets up into their knees, huh? Wow, I should make that movement the symbol of the symbol I'm most proud of. Wow, those dang left-wingers and their god-dang gender politics. How dare they acknowledge gay people as human beings? That's the exact same thing as me polishing my weapon and praying to God to let the blood flow. Same shit.
When I was talking to my wife about this,
my wife, who I basically enslave,
what she asked me, she said, well, and she made that observation too, which I thought was really apt of her. But that, yeah, we want them to die. We want their flesh to die, and we want them to be raised to new life. But if it would be not within God's sovereign will and his plan to save them, to raise them to new life, we pray that God would stop them by any means necessary. That, hey, stop the child sacrifice. Stop.
It's a daily fucking thing. It's a daily fucking thing. Yeah, Mother Teresa over here was, terrible. She was absolutely terrible human being. So it's a daily fucking thing on the right. Oh yeah, this is another good one. This is another good one. When the same asshole fascist, there's no other way to put it, theocratic fascist, was talking about James Tallarico, right? A real Christian, a person who actually believes in the book he espouses, right?
Public enemies. These are the orcs at the gate. You are not called to love the
orcs. We're not human.
Barbarian horde that is planning to break into your city and pillage, plunder, rape, and mutilate you and your people.
Because that's what the left wing is calling for. The left wing is building the ICE camps. The left wing is building a paramilitary force that is only that only is responsible to the president. It's the left wing that's hoarding weapons and waiting for the call to stand back and stand by, right? That's the left wing.
You don't love that horde. That is your enemy, and you pray. This is where you have imprecatory Psalms. This is where you pray strongly. The psalmist is not shy. God, destroy them. Mm-hmm. Make them as dung on the ground, right? So, but Madison and I were talking about that, and so I say, even in the debate, I think you might have seen it, but that I had on campus the other day, I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart. And
I mean, come on. Both sides. Yeah, but Greta Thunberg was at a protest, and then she got on a boat, and she tried to deliver medicine to Palestinians. So, I mean, we're kind of breaking even here, right? I mean, show me the clip of Greta Thunberg saying anything even remotely similar. Okay? Show me the clip of Hassan giddily smiling while like, I hope God kills him. I hope God kills him.
I think you might have seen it, but that I had on campus the other day. I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
Same. They're not calling for violence, you dumb liberal. Oh my God. How could you misconstrue this language as violent rhetoric? How could you do that? Big fucking smile. Big fucking demonic smile. I think God should kill them in their heart or crucify them. Their soul.
That's exactly right.
I want him to be, I think, Saul of Tarsus, Talarico
Like God said, we should make them like dung.
Of Tarsus.
Yes,
that's what I want. Who would say, I was holding the garments while they stoned Stephen, and now I'm
we should stone them in Minecraft. Greta Thunberg likes trans people. That's the main problem. That's the main issue. Kitty litter boxes in schools.
That's what we want.
Yes, we want death and new life, right? And if it would not be within God's will to do so.
We're going to kill liberals and then use their corpses to in our garden for fertilizer. New life. I eat my dead liberal potatoes in the morning. Oh, I'm so biblical. Oh, it hurts. I'm so biblical.
Stop him by any means necessary, oh God.
Well, you know what's ironic, Gutsby, is that this is a left-wing or centrist organization whose entire job is to monitor and observe right-wingers making these kind of statements. That's why this is on YouTube. They themselves are not allowed on YouTube because of the constant daily calls to violence. Okay? And I challenge anybody to show me an equivalent left-winger who has like 100 views, 100 subscribers. Any left-winger who says anything even remotely equivalent. And yet somehow the debate is both sides. Madness, dude. Fucking, they are going to be loading us up into fucking vans. They're going to be putting us into fucking concentration camps. And the mainstream media, Caitlin Collins over here, is going to be pretending like this is a both sides equivalent fucking argument. They right now are trying to get the voter rolls of every state so that they can identify anybody that's ever voted for Democrat. So first that they can disenfranchise them, remove their right to vote, remove their fucking free speech rights. And then the next step, they're going to plug all that information into Palantir and they're going to round our ass up, dude. They're going to be Sieg heiling and praising God while they do it. And they're going to be like, can you believe the left-wingers let gay people exist? Yeah, well, they're going to, exactly, Gutsby. They're going to try. They're going to try. Right, that's a good point. They're going to try. Will they succeed? I don't know. That's a good point. So, real quick, just want to play this important PSA. Okay, I have about 45 minutes until I have to go. Let's try to talk about some other stuff while I have time. Because there's really nothing new. Like, you know, once we get a little bit more information, once they've, you know, scrubbed his phones and then they've released that information that he's a Democrat. And right, and it's like, well, we gotta clamp down on Democrats, man. It's obvious, it's, you know. So we'll get to that. Wanted to follow up, from yesterday's stream before all the chaos started. I did do a 6-hour stream, and we covered Piers Morgan and the accused rapist, Russell Brand. He, we were making fun of him. I was over here, doing one of these while he was trying to find the Bible passage that means the most to him. The one that he was reading in court. He was pretending to read in court. How can I be a rapist when I like the Bible? Doesn't the Bible fucking justify rape, by the way? I was reading the passage about how it's cool to rape your wife. It's really good. It's a really good passage. My favorite. So, Piers Morgan asks him, what's your favorite passage? Dude spends an agonizing over 60 seconds, agonizing fucking 90 seconds trying to find the passage. Well, like 2 whole days later, he finds it. Oh, really? So, did you watch anything of what I just showed, Mr. Wildchild? Did you watch any of that, or did you just pop in? Did you watch me react to right-wingers calling for the death of Democrats? Jeff, this is what I'd like you to do, man. 1 second here. I would like you to find me
Public Enemies.
Find me an equivalent statement. You're not allowed to really say anything else in my chat unless you are posting a clip of a left-winger saying anything similar to this right here. This man says these things every single day. And yes, he's a hardcore right-winger, Trumper, big supporter of MAGA, big supporter of the right-wing movement. Okay, Jeff? Your job, this is homework. I don't want to hear another fucking word from you until you're posting a link of any left-winger with 100 subscribers or more saying anything equivalent to this right here, okay? You're probably already gone, but go ahead and watch this if you're not.
Public Enemies, these are the orcs at the gate. You are not called to love the barbarian horde that is planning to break into your city and, pillage, plunder, rape, and mutilate you and your people. Right. You don't love that horde. That is your enemy, and you pray. This is where you have imprecatory psalms. This is where you pray strongly. The psalmist is not shy. God, destroy them. Make them as dung on the ground, right? So, but Madison and I were talking about that, and so I say, even in the debate, I think you might have seen it, but that I had on campus the other day.
Big smile.
I pray that God kills him.
Find me the clip, Jeff. Find me the clip of a left-winger saying anything equivalent.
That I had on campus the other day. I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified.
Kill him, crucified, and also stone them. He's already gone. You already left, didn't you, Jeff? You're already gone. That's how pathetic you are, you fucking virgin. You fucking incel. You fucking fascist. Oh no, is me calling you a fascist? Is that why we're having these problems? You're still here? I give you credit then. So go ahead. Don't you dare put another fucking word in this chat. Find me the clip of a left-winger saying something like this. Find me the clip of Hassan saying this. Big smile.
Even in the debate, I think you might have seen it, but that I had on campus the other day. I pray that God kills him.
He does this every single day, by the way. This is not an isolated clip. He does this every single fucking day, 5 days a week, every fucking stream. It's all the time. Find me the equivalent. Find me the left-winger who says, crucify them, kill them.
Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's
make the right wing like dung at my feet. Find me the equivalent, you both sides motherfucker.
The first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
That's exactly right.
I want him to be, I think, Saul of Tarsus, Talarico of Tarsus.
Yes,
That's what I want. Who would say, I was holding the garments while they stoned Stephen, and now I'm the... Yeah, that's what we want.
Yes, we want death and new life, right?
Yeah. Because the left wing's calling for, giving trans people rights, human rights. Same shit, right? Well, my kids.
And if it would not be within God's will to do so, stop him by any means necessary.
Stop him by any means necessary. What does that mean? Huh? Big hugs and kisses? Making them nice big breakfasts in the morning after a whole night of blowjobs? No, I don't think so. Make them as dung on the ground. Kill them. Crucify them. Show me the Greta Thunberg clip. Show me the Hassan clip. You motherfucker. Both sides. But yeah, have you considered both sides? Have you thought about that, though? It's both sides, though, right? I mean, it's kind of both sides, right? Something's got to be done by that left-wing rhetoric. Hassan said we deserve 9/11. That's the same thing as literally getting in front of a fucking microphone and camera and saying, kill them by any means necessary. Same shit. That's what Tapper Jake said. That's what Scott Jennings said. Wolf Blitzer nodded his head while a right-wing fascist said that on his channel. Same shit. If you could please open your anus and insert my fist right up to the elbow, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, just kill him. Same shit. Same stuff. Getting back to accused rapist Russell Brand, who's a right-winger, by the way. Same shit. Well, Bill Clinton was on the Epstein files. Yeah, I'd love to see Bill Clinton in jail. No, you don't. No, you don't. You defend Bill Clinton the same way that I defend Donald Trump, to the hilt, to the death. Oh, yeah, really. No, I do, yeah. Love old Billy. Got my Billy hat. Got my Billy shirt. Got the Billy mural on the back of my Billy truck. Got my Billy shoes. My Billy cell phone. Love the guy. Anyway, he finds his Bible verse 2 days later, 48 hours later. Finds the Bible verse that he was looking for on Piers Morgan. Makes a fucking fool of himself. Welcome back, Eldon Lore. Another follow-up to what I was talking about yesterday about how it is, I am like 85% certain that China is going to be taking over Taiwan before the end of Trump's presidency. So here's a statement right here from the foreign ministry spokesperson on Taiwan's authorities. You know, a lot of shit here, but this is the relevant quote. The one China principle is where the arc of history bends and public opinion trends, and to uphold it is the right thing to do. No one can ever stop the eventual reunification of China. The separatist attempts aimed at Taiwanese independence are just futile and doomed to fail. This was a statement released on the 22nd of April, this month. There's never been a better time. There's never been a better time, okay? For China to invade Taiwan and take that shit. And yeah, if you're Taiwan, blow up the chip factory. And let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, man. TSMC, TMSC, however the fuck you say it, getting blown up, there go your tech stocks. All that tech fantasy that we see, the Tesla nonsense, the SpaceX nonsense. AI data centers getting built everywhere. The fucking RAM coming, NVIDIA. It's all worth it. It's all worth it to the Chinese government. Because it'll be temporary, right? And then they want a financial crisis to hit. They want to see the dollar. They want, have a bond crisis. They want to see massive economic turmoil hit the entire world because they think they're going to scoop in and pick up the pieces. No one's going to be fucking worried about Taiwan when, you know, the fucking ATM stops working. Yeah, exactly, banker. Yeah. They're fascists. Yeah, Gutsby. I'm reading all your comments, by the way. Just thought I'd follow up to some of the comments I made yesterday. So I wanted to show this clip here of, he's not adjudicated sexual assaulter. He's just been credibly accused of sexual assault. There's a great clip, great rundown from the Serfs, who've done several videos now about Andrew Callahan and the credible accusations of sexual assault. Here's the follow-up. Andrew Callahan still harming people. Boy, look at the drama farming from the fucking Serfs over here. Where's the other one here? Oh, is it really that old? Boy, they're busy. Love this. Look at the thumbnail. Look at the thumbnail. Ben Shapiro with his goddamn caterpillar eyebrows, dude. Those eyebrows, bro. Those eyebrows are gonna get me calling to violence. I'm gonna have to do a massive call to violence because of those eyebrows, bro. I'm gonna go full Luigi on them.
I'm a Luigi.
I'm gonna go full fucking Luigi on them eyebrows. No, but there's a video in here where he's like, Andrew Callahan is harming people. Where the hell is it? Okay, hold on. Let me just do a search here. Is it really that old? Wow, where the fuck is the video? Weird. Anyway, I mean, they've been following this. It's weird. This is the follow-up, but where's the original video?
You know, people's.
So this was the woman that is accusing Andrew Callahan of oh my God, what is this? Andrew Callahan. This is the woman that's accusing Andrew Callahan, credibly accusing.
Hey
Andrew
everyone,
Callahan
I'm Russell.
Media, just to see, you know,
of sexual assault here. I don't know where their first video is. That's weird. I don't know if it's still here or. No, it's weird. Whatever. But it goes beyond just someone talking shit. And it really does go beyond, like, you know, oh, I was kissing him and then I thought, oh, I don't know, I don't want to kiss him, and then, you know, he kept kissing me. No, it's like dude was like pressuring women to fuck him, and in kind of a pathetic way too. Kind of in like a pathetic. You know, he kind of shows up. Oh, you want to fuck me? You know, that kind of shit, right? Gets all angry when they don't want to, right? That's not what we're talking about here, though. Because he's telling the truth about what it's like to work within the current corporate media structure. Right, he had this documentary or something that he released for HBO. They wanted him to do a press tour for this documentary. And he gives us a very interesting insight about what the current climate is like in corporate media, how controlled everything is, right? Because the reason why I'm bringing this up is because someone was mentioning the Paramount WB merger in the chat. Like the situation, right? Because it's like we see it from the outside and we just, you know, we're just consumers, right? But on the inside, it is a very carefully curated environment about, you know, you're allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say that. Don't bring this thing up, don't bring that thing up. Right? Just consume and then consume the next thing and can be happy that you're consuming. Consume. Politics, what's that? No politics. Even though if the documentary is about politics, no politics. And this is reflective on not just the entertainment industry, which is, you know, getting more monopolized, more consolidated. This is what it's like on corporate news media as well. Talk about this subject, but talk about it in this way. Say these specific words. Frame it in this way. that's beneficial to the status quo, right? Because what do we see, right? You know, I was talking about this yesterday. You know, there's that image of Donald Trump like literally passed out in front of his little group of minions, right? And people are pointing out, if this was Joe Biden, this would have been like the cover of Jake Tapper's book would have been this image. But because it's Donald Trump, it's literally just a Tuesday. And that hypocrisy is intentional because our media and our news is literally bought and owned by right-wing corporate oligarchs. Some are a little bit more centrist, like Mark Cuban. Some are more extreme fascistic right, like Murdoch. But it's basically this, it's all the same club. And they have minor disagreements here and there. And, you know, we're told this fiction that they don't, hands off, right? That's what we were told when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Hands off. Yeah. I just care about the news. I just want, you know, I'm doing everything I can to purchase this incredibly important news outlet. Hands off, though. I'm not going to do anything. No influence whatsoever. And, of course, that's a complete and total lie. As we've seen with Barry Weiss and CBS and the Free Press, another case is Glenn Beck and the Blaze Network. They don't even care if they make money, right? They couldn't care less if these operations run at a loss and lose millions of viewers. It's about the message. If they make any money, that's a nice cherry on top. It's about controlling the zeitgeist. And what Andrew Callahan here, accused rapist, Andrew Callahan, is giving us is a little view into what it's like to be in the background, right? You know, in this environment, just how bad it is. And that's why I'm showing you this clip.
When I had to promote an HBO film a long time ago, they had me scheduled to go on primetime CNN with Don Lemon and Caitlin Collins.
The movie's not just about like the Capitol riot and all that. It's also about like media echo chambers. You know what I mean? And like the dangers of the 24-hour news cycle and how I think mainstream media like Fox and even CNN like competes for views by running constant 24-hour news cycles based upon fear, division, outrage, and panic.
And I signed an NDA, but I'm going to break it anyway. But they had to give me this weird media training session. And it was like these 16 people I had never met before. More people on a Zoom call than I thought you could ever even have. I had to get Zoom Premium. All these people in suits, like going through point for point, being like, you need to tell, if they ask you.
Lawyers, spin masters, fucking representatives of the corporation, representatives of the oligarchs that own it. 16 people, he says, probably even more, right? This was just for a little press tour for some piece of content on a streaming service, right?
About Trump, say this. If they ask you about revolution, say this. If they ask you about your background, say this. Don't reveal that you're arrested for graffiti. All this weird ass shit. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of strange. They had one cool guy who literally had a Kangol hat on. I guess they thought he would like get through to me. And he's like, yo, my man, so check this out. I know these people, these motherfuckers don't look cool to you, but they're cool, son. And I was like, all right, I don't know. I was like, whatever cabal you're a part of, it's freaking me out. But it was only an hour, but it was mandatory. Yeah. So they told me I was going to go on CNN when Don Lemon was going to ask me about like my life and all this shit. And I get on and he goes, what can you tell us about the mental state of Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio in the lead up to January 6th? I'm just like, what the kind of snitch question is this? Like I'd
but you know, what are you talking about snitch question? Andrew Tarrio is a fascist and a terrorist. It's a totally legitimate question. You're not a snitch. And he's like, well, I went behind the scenes, right? And I don't want to snitch on my sources and whatnot. Really? You don't want to tell us the mental state of a terrorist who tried to destroy our democracy? Oh, I don't want to be a snitch. I guess if you're a journalist, you don't, you got sources and whatnot. I guess, but it's weird how he interprets that as a snitch question. Enrico Tarrio is a fucking terrorist and an enemy of American democracy.
the lead up to January 6th. I'm just like, what the kind of snitch question is this? Like, I'd embedded myself in this men's group, the Proud Boys, for a long time, and I had still had those.
So you're going to defend them? Right? I thought you're embedding so that you can get the truth about who they are, and then you would tell us who these people are. Oh, I don't want to snitch on my boy, Enrico Tario. What?
Active relationships, revealing any information could put my life in danger. I just wasn't ready for it. So I
So you acknowledge that he's a dangerous terrorist. Okay. I don't want to snitch on my boy. Okay. All right. Seems kind of, I don't know, bitch made. Oh, they might beat me up. Will we ever get this information then? Are you ever going to reveal who these, what you found out when you embedded yourself with this terrorist organization dedicated to destroying our democracy? I'll keep that to myself.
Got back super hard, and I was like, actually, Don, the film is about how the mainstream media, including CNN, uses the cable news system to push partisan divisions that have led to events like January 6th by essentially pitting working class Americans against each other.
Right, and that's true. That is true, and it's okay to pivot away. All right, but it just, I don't know, like, why are we protecting the Proud Boys? But I agree with this assessment that, like, it is mainstream media. Very cleverly, using advanced propaganda techniques to further divide and conquer people. It really does sound more like a defense, though, of January 6ers than it is like, oh, these guys were here because they don't believe in democracy. They were here representing the most fascistic elements of the MAGA right-wing movement. And their stated goal was to stop the peaceful transfer of power so that they can install a dictator. It's like, we want to blame CNN. We want to shit on ABC and CNN and MSNBC. That's fine. But, like, what are we trying to give them a pass for their terroristic intentions? Right? Like, a bit sus.
Pushing culture war over class war issues. And he was like, what the hell? They cut the segment short. It was never aired. No one ever saw this. I leave the studio, and I guess the CNN had a handler for me where they technically work for A24. Like I said, this black box is all connected. And she's panicking. She's like looking at her phone on hers. I'm like, what's going on? And she was like, Time Warner C-Suite is furious. And I'm like, who is Time Warner C-Suite? And she said, you don't know that the same people that own HBO also own CNN? Yeah. And so they looked at it as like an in-house beef. And I was like, no. I was just projecting my opinion. And they were like, don't you remember the media training? You weren't supposed to do that. She was panicked. They canceled my press tour right then and there.
Right. So, sus bullshit aside, rape allegations aside, a little window into how curated and manufactured the media environment is, right? So Don Lemon gets kicked out of this universe, and we're supposed to take him seriously now, right? Because he's basically doing the same thing. You got to give him credit for going to the church and reporting on the church, right? But now he's like, oh, I'm a real one, but I'm not gonna report on my job as a propagandist, right? I'm not gonna give you the dirt on that shit. So pretty kind of an interesting perspective, little look behind the curtain of just how controlled and curated your average mainstream media. I mean, this was just a throwaway interview, right? This was just some throwaway interview, some like pseudo promotion for something that's on, some streaming service. And he's got to do media training with 16 different people, and you can say this and you can't say that, and you need to talk about this, and oh, you said something wrong, and now you're kicked out of the club. Now you're gone. Oh, we were going to give you a massive career. We were going to make you into a millionaire, but not anymore. No. You went against it. All right. I got 20 more fucking minutes. Let's see. What do we got time for? This is a great conversation. I want time to do this whole thing here. Yep, this is good stuff. Yep, okay, that's where that article went. I already talked about that yesterday. real quick, I mean, I don't really have time to talk about the UAP stuff. There's a lot of skepticism there. Yep, we talked about that. Yeah. He's the ugliest looking president of all time. Ugliest looking president so far. Republicans are hypocrites. News at 11. I guess I just have time to let's just see if we can find any more information about the Correspondents' dinner. That's really, I don't have much time for anything else, unfortunately. Seeing if we got anything else we can find out. Looks like we're probably not going to find out until Monday. Yeah. Heard all that, seen all that. That was pretty funny that Donald Trump was like, what's the big deal? Let's just keep going. What's the big deal? It's very much like Jeff Bezos and Amazon. That person died, at the fucking warehouse. And they're like, yeah, just walk around him. What's the big deal? We'll get somebody to clean the corpse up. Keep working. What's the problem? Yeah, our coworker just dropped dead. Yes. Yeah, so we know where he's at. Walk around him. You got packages to deliver, motherfucker. Not paying you to think. This guy talking shit. Baron Coleman. Never heard of him, but he's way more popular than me, of course. I have 21 subscribers on my YouTube, folks. It's been like that for months. I'm here getting Andrew Callahan. I'm getting Andrew Callahan over here. What about me? Okay, more details emerge. Face the Nation 40 minutes ago. All right, let's see what they got.
DC, the armed man accused of opening fire outside a security checkpoint at the White House Correspondents' dinner is in custody and expected in court tomorrow. The D.C. interim police chief says the alleged shooter, 31-year-old Cole Allen, was a guest at the Washington Hilton Hotel where the dinner was held. The shooting happened upstairs somewhat from the ballroom. It is my understanding from people inside that they...
Protect the brain worm. We got to get the worm out of here. So who's got the worm? Who's got the worm? I got the worm, sir. Confirmed. We got the worm. Worm is secure. Yeah, but you got to protect the worm. I'm the host for the worm.
You go down a set of escalators, then there are magnetometers and metal detectors, then you go down a short staircase into the ballroom. Outside the
How come she gets a fucking red dot, but homeboy doesn't get a red dot? Is it just preference? Is it just you get to request one? How do you get it? How do you got to fill out a form? I want a red dot in my pistol. I want to look cool. I don't need a red dot. I go iron sights, bitch. I don't have that perk. I haven't done enough. I haven't done enough level 6. I didn't earn the red dot perk yet. How does that work?
magnetometers is where the incident unfolded. A Secret Service agent was hit by one of the shots and was released from the hospital early this morning. At this time,
he's got a little sash. I love the sash. I understand why they're doing it, but it's like I'm a pretty police officer. I got a sash. That makes perfect sense why you would, you'd have something like that in your pocket. Emergency happens, you put it on, people can okay, I'm police, but I'm the best police. I'm #1 police. I got the sash. I won the police award. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Sources tell us he was hit with a buckshot from the suspect's shotgun blast. It's believed he did not take the full brunt of the blast.
I got the sash
Secret
last year.
Service returned gunfire during the ordeal, but the suspect was not hit.
No, it makes perfect
We're going to
sense
show
why
you
you
the
would have
frantic
that.
scene inside the ballroom shortly after those initial shots rang out.
CBS News, of course, bought by pro-Israeli interests, currently run by Barry Weiss. It's very good to point all this out. She has completely destroyed this network. Just like to point that out. Don't expect real objective news from this network any further. Whoa, my salad! Oh, has anyone seen the clip of the guy still eating the salad while all this is going on? I got the clip in the Discord. Let me show you this fucking clip. The dude's a legend. Dude's an absolute legend. Hold on, let me see if I can find this here. Yeah, there's people taking selfies. I got that clip. But no, right here. Yeah, watch this. Fucking total chaos. Total chaos. Look at homeboy. He's like, that's a good salad. Look at this shit. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, someone tried to kill the president, but I mean, I gotta eat. He's a total legend, dude. Total legend. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. I'm hungry. I'm just gonna wait and see. That's a good ass salad. I haven't gotten out of the house in months. Okay, I'm gonna eat my salad. Are they bringing the chicken? I'm sure they got some extras now. Bring 2. Bring that chicken out. We're gonna be here a while. I'm hungry. Total legend. Love it. Yeah, exactly. I paid for this ticket. I got great seats. This is great. This is entertaining. Yeah, well, fuck it. I'm here. Fuck it. I love it. I love it. Shots fired.
2 people inside the ballroom have told me that it was.
There's nothing more entertaining than real life. Okay, you keep your Disney movies. Okay, I watch the news.
It's very clear to them what was happening, that shots were fired, but perhaps they're up on the stage. It may not have been completely clear what was happening.
It's pretty clear
President
Donald Trump
was
had no
safely
idea what was going
evacuated
on.
from the Correspondents' dinner.
Like people are pointing at the freeze frame of Donald Trump looking like a fucking, smiling like a jackass, while Melania is like, whoa, what the fuck was that, right? And they're like, oh, proof, see, it's proof. It's like, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, okay? He was like, how about that mentalist, huh? That mentalist, he's thinking fucking Melania's mind is blown by the mentalist over here. He has no fucking clue what the hell's going on.
Neither he nor anyone from his administration were hurt. And today, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said investigators believe the man was targeting officials from the administration. President Trump spoke from the White House late last night.
This was an event dedicated to freedom of speech.
Oh, yeah, you love that shit.
Waiver.
Again, this is what we know about the suspect, identified right now as 31-year-old Cole Allen.
Small bump, right? It'll be a small bump, and then it's right back to, war in Iran, Epstein files. I destroyed, I destroyed the Forest Service, and now I'm instructing the people that are taking over the Forest Service to actively start burning down the forests. Right? I'm instructing my health department to literally inject feces and urine into every bit of food that you eat as an American. You're welcome, America. I mean, it'll be right back to it. Oh, by the way, my son is getting a $10 billion injection from the fucking government. You're welcome, America. So yeah, he'll get a couple points, and then it's right, because he can't stop. He can't stop being a corrupt fascist, right? And the closer we get to the midterms, the more he's got to crank up the criminality. So yeah, it's a small bump, little pause. I would say a week of a slight bump in approval ratings, and then it's right back to the fucking worse than George Bush at the end of his last term. Right now, before this happened at least, Donald Trump's approval ratings were worse than after January 6th. Hard to believe.
Torrance, California. They say they have preliminary information that he was a guest at the hotel. As part of the probe into his motives, investigating...
31 years old, dude. Flushed his whole life down the fucking drain. Guy is never going to see freedom ever again.
Investigators are reviewing some writings from Allen found in the hotel room.
So close to his birthday, too. Damn.
He was staying. Let's bring in CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cortez, who was outside the White House. Nancy, you were there at the dinner last night. You, like so many of our colleagues, jumped into action, reporting immediately on what you were seeing and hearing. So what did you see and hear?
Lindsay, it's so good to be with you today. Yeah, I was a few tables back from the stage, and so like a lot of people who were seated in the front of the room, we didn't hear the gunshots, so we weren't aware initially that anything was wrong. Our first indication was some
secret Agent man. Really? Do secret agents literally still wear these coats now?
Initially that anything was wrong. Our first indication was some men in black suits running up the aisle. And frankly, for the first few seconds, I thought they were waiters. In fact, I think there were some law enforcement officers who ran into waiters who were...
How many, you know what I mean? Like, come on, how many times we got to hear this story? Oh, I was eating my salad and then I was so scared and everything was crazy. Yeah, we know.
Simply serving guests as they charged into the room. And you heard the clinking of plates falling. And so we thought initially there was some sort of incident with the service. But then we saw more and more law enforcement officers racing up the aisle straight towards the president. We were told, get down, and that's when everyone got under the tables. I was seated next to Dan Scavino, who is one of the president's longest-serving aides. He is the head of the president's personnel office, and his wife, and we were all under the table for a couple of minutes together before his security detail found him. They knew where he...
Legend over here. He's like, I paid for this shit. He's taking a swig of his brandy.
And we were all under the table for a couple of minutes together before his security detail...
the legends. There's so many legends.
Found him, they knew where he was sitting, and whisked him out. And that's kind of what was taking place all across the ballroom as cabinet members and top White House officials were whisked out by their security details. After a few minutes, when it was clear that we were safe inside the ballroom, we got up and started working. But because the cell service is so spotty in that room, Lindsay, we were in a situation where we actually had less information inside the ballroom than a lot.
There's another clip I can show you. There's a lady taking wine off the tables as like a souvenir. She's like, see if I can find it here. Is it this one? Yeah, look at this. Another legend. Look at this. So they're taking selfies, right? They got bottles of wine. They got bottles of champagne. Look at this one. Look at this absolute fucking legend. Don't need these anymore. Don't need these, baby. I paid for my fucking tickets. I'm gonna get my fucking wine. I can't with this shit, dude. That's some good shit. Taking selfies with it. It's just like what happened with Charlie Kirk, right? They're taking their little souvenirs. Holy shit. I just can't, man. It's just these legends. These absolute legends, bro. This was funny, by the way. I should show. This is from the Discord.
Fired? What is this, a public school? This shouldn't be happening to me. When did this country become so violent? I don't deserve this. I graduated high school in 1980. Are guns bad? I don't get it. Who would want to assassinate the president? Who? Why is it so easy for someone so unstable to get access to a firearm? Sources tell me Charlie's okay. Please, God. Oh, wait.
Wait.
Sorry, got mixed up.
Wrong one.
It happens. We need to pass legislation to prevent this from ever happening to me only. Fox News does not believe in violence. Mainly JD. My dinner is unsettled right now. My tummy hurts. Is this one real or is it like another ear type thing?
No, it won't be. It really won't be. And the next one, you thought this one was going to be like a fart in the wind, right? Like, it's going to be like, okay, Blowfest, but no one, it like barely, makes the news cycle. Now the next one is going to be an insufferable, unwatchable, masturbation circle jerk of epic proportions. There's probably going to be at least 12 to 24 USA chants. Another ear type thing, yeah. Oh, fuck, man.
A lot of people did outside the ballroom, and we sort of all sprung into action reporting on what we knew and what we could see, but it was difficult sometimes to get that information out because, that room historically has been such a challenge to get cell service.
Who's on the guest list?
It's a couple of floors below ground level. In fact, at the start of the dinner, I actually turned my phone to airplane mode because I figured I just wasn't going to be able to get any messages out until after the dinner was over. So I clicked back on, and tried to get messages out as I could.
Well, and per your original point, Matt Gutman is reporting there were Secret Service agents posing as wait staff who were in the room. So that also could have been part of that, which may have been unclear at the time. I mean, look, you've been to many any of these. How does security typically work at these events? Is it always at this part you see? The armed man accused of opening fire outside the security checkpoint at the White House Correspondents' Dinner is in custody and expected in court tomorrow.
Please?
The D.C. interim police chief says the alleged shooter, 31-year-old Cole Allen, was a guest at the Washington Hilton Hotel where the dinner was held. The shooting happened.
What does Cardi B
If you
have
think about
to
it,
think
our
about
own colleagues
this?
are down there. You have this is
What
taking the
about
company
Cardi
to
B?
build this case based.
Has anyone asked Ja Rule, by the way? People were saying Ja Rule was dead yesterday. That motherfucker isn't dead.
Coming up, more on how the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting and response unfolded, including testimony from our own Weijia Jiang, who presides over the White House Correspondent Association.
Well, what
You're
about
watching
Cardi
CBS
B?
News 24/7,
I
the
saw
number one free
Cardi
streaming
B
news
in
service
the
in America.
Thumbnail. Cardi B?
CBS Morning. CBS
Morning. Oh, that was Cardi B. Oh, Cardi B and Hootie and the Blowfish. Okay.
Chilling with the queen. Her name is Gail King. CBS Morning. CBS Morning.
I don't deserve a career.
CBS Morning. CBS Morning.
CBS Morning. CBS Morning.
CBS Morning's on CBS.
Completely useless, facile, infantile bullshit.
And where else? Paramount Plus. See you at 7. CBS.
7 a.m. 7 a.m. and you're plugging this bullshit into your brain, dude. Why not? Why not, bro? Why not? Why not just take a big rip off a bong and just like, you know, watch white noise?
CBS Morning.
Good morning.
It was almost
Look, Keanu takes a drink from a cup.
News happening with Mike Johnson is 24.
I off your podcast. Sorry. Mindful.
Ulsters have praised Weijia for all she did to bring calm to the situation. Here's what he said at last night's press briefing.
What did he say?
Madam Chairman, I just want to say you did a fantastic.
Oh, the Blowfest. Why are we watching CBS News? Why am I doing this to you, dude? Why am I doing this? Literally, I'd rather watch Nick Fuentes take a dump. I take that back. CBS Mornings. Oh my God. How do you get a red dot? That's what I want to know. How do you get that red dot? All right, who do you got to talk to get a red dot around here? We got the King visiting. Baron Coleman. The fuck is this guy? I'm sorry. I just refuse. I'm judging a book by a cover here. I'm not trusting a motherfucker named Baron. Right? Yeah, my name's Baron. I just so happen to support the right-wing agenda. Really? No kidding. Baron. Wow. My name's Hitler. My mom named me that. Term of endearment. All right. Yeah, like I said, we're not going to get any real good shit until tomorrow, probably, until they finish their intelligence collection. They have they got the story all mapped out. Right? Oh, it was Democrat, left-wing, progressive ideology. The Troll Patrol. What the fuck is this?
Flash, the devil's advocate on that, we were watching C-SPAN live, and C-SPAN, like every time they tried to talk to one of their reporters that was in the room, except for Greta, she was outside. Greta had been at the side door and it went out before they locked the room down.
Bro, it was definitely fake. Call in. It was definitely fake, bro. The only thing I'm doing with this guy is I'm buying my dime bag and then I'm leaving his dirty apartment. Okay? That's the only thing I'm doing here with Justin. All right? Thank you very much. No sticks and stems. You should probably, pull that vacuum out. Give this carpet a once over. It's disgusting in here. Have a good one, Justin. I'm going to go back to my life.
Flash, Lady B, Texas Jane.
It's Israel.
Welcome in, friends. The Wiggy. Love your name. Sports cards. Libertad.
So
Squirrel.
sexy.
Good to see you, friend. Hope you are well. Fragwits. S211, my friend. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I do the news. We do the news over here. But if you got something to say, I'm just a phone call away.
Wow.
Brad Jizz.
Can we
Good
do
to
the
see
phone
you,
sex?
friend.
Can we do the phone
Night
sex, please?
Of, Cypher. Boston. John Williams. Friends over on the YouTube. Good to see all of you. Neelan 2005.
Why am I so sexy? I'm not. I'm not sexy at all. How you gonna come in here and say that in front of Riri, your fish?
Okay.
It would not be the first time I've phone sexed on this show. But you absolutely can.
Awesome.
917-830-4359.
This guy's awesome.
You want to live in sexual anarchy with me?
You live in sexual anarchy?
All right. I
Am
like
I a
this
kink?
guy. I like this guy.
Just saying I don't feel sexy, kink shaming somebody.
No, he seems all right.
Another response to last night's shooting.
Don't kink shame. No, he seems cool. He seems cool. All right. I just wanted to buy a dime bag off him, okay? Oh, look at me. Look, Correspondents dinner. It's me. Why? How did this get here? I'm only near the bottom, but I'm not at the bottom. I'm above Hassan. I'm above the channel that's stealing Hassan's content. I mean, that's a win right there, baby. Hell yeah. Moving on up. Just a couple streams below Dimebag Daryl over here. Not bad. Just saying. Kind of a big deal on the internet now. Just saying, I'm kind of a big deal. All right, that's all I got for you today. That's it. Sorry, we're done. I bought my dime bag. Now I'm gonna go home. We're gonna go home. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up. That's your follow-up. We'll what is that, half a joint? Basically, yeah. If you're rolling it right, it's basically half a joint. I like to roll them nice and fat. At least I used to. I don't smoke weed anymore because I'm a loser. I'm straight edge. You guys smoke weed? My mom said that's not cool. My mom said only people that succeed, they don't smoke weed. I don't want to be a loser like you guys. But no, thank you, German Cow. Thank you, Clutch Cargo, Liddy Bruz, Simply Steve. Mastermind Rodak, thank you for coming in. Fragwits, Gutsby Gaming, Lenny, thank you, Lenny, over there at Accidents Waiting to Happen, folks. If you want that good, you want an actually good stream that you can watch and have fun, make sure you're clicking follow on Accidents Waiting to Happen. What happened to that right winger, by the way? That both sides right winger. I thought he was going to give me a clip of a left winger calling for literally the death, calling for literally killing left wingers. Where's he? Where'd he go? What happened? I thought I was waiting for my clip. Where's my clip? Where's my clip? I was waiting for my clip of Greta Thunberg, smiling with glee as she said, "Let's kill all the right wingers," right? Because that's same thing. We say the same stuff, right? You can't have a discussion with a left winger without them literally calling for the death of all fascists, right? I mean, you can find these people, but it's like, can you find anybody that has an online presence? Go to a left wing protest, and then you'll find like hardcore Antifa motherfucker, black mask motherfuckers, right? And they're like, no, kill all fascists, right? So you can find them, but it's so weird, right? It's odd how. Seemingly right-wingers who are every single day calling for the death of left-wingers, they get millions of dollars, they get a massive media presence. God, why is that? That's so weird, right? And the left-wingers have to be incredibly careful about their language, or else they get the fucking see you later, bitch. Oh, that's TOS. How dare you? How dare you? Meanwhile, you can fucking Sieg Heil all day if you're a right-winger. Right? Where's my clip? Where's my Greta Thunberg? We should floss our teeth with the bones of fascists. We should make them like dung and walk upon them. She says that crazy shit all the time, Greta Thunberg. Hassan does too. Mr. Wild Child Jeff. Mr. Wild Child. I'm politically homeless like my boy Jeff Rogan. Jeff Rogan over here, he's politically homeless. Yeah. Just like me. I'm a free thinker. Except I think we should do everything that the Republican Party says we should do. But I'm a free thinker. Yeah. Protect Israel. Yeah. I came up with that idea all myself, all by my lonesome. All by myself. Protect Israel. It came to me one day. I'm a big thinker. I do a lot of thinking. Sit around thinking in my mom's house. Listening to my boy Jeff Rogan. So thank you for your insight, wild child. I was happy to embarrass you. Big props once again to Liddy Bruz, Crail of Xanath, Female Eunuchs. Once again, your boy Woke Patriot. Banker and Bound TRS. Bound TRS came in for a minute. Your boy Simply Steve, smoke one for me. OG Lee. OG Lee. Up in this motherfucker. You know I love you, man. Always good to see you. John Axel, thank you for coming in. Good Guy Dari. German Cow, once again. Jeremy from the Pearl Jam song. Buddy, beat the recess teacher's breast. How can I forget? Oh, they hit me with a hard left. My jaw left hurting. Whoa, walk right open. Just like the day. Just like the day I heard. I'm so good at that. Daddy didn't give affection. Whoa, and the boy was something mommy couldn't wear. I love Pearl Jam. My wife hates Pearl Jam. She's walking down here. She hates Pearl Jam. Promethean, thank you for coming in. I gotta listen to a little Pearl Jam now, I think, when I go. Snowmo Bro Pro, Tisriel coming in, Harry. Tisriel was number one in the chat, by the way. Is everyone gone? You're like, I'm not listening to this. I'm gone, dude. I'm not listening to this. Harry Haas. Thank you, Harry Haas. I demand waffles at the intersection. Blunts and waffles? Oh, man, you're speaking my motherfucking language, bro. Man, there ain't nothing like a big, fat, juicy J. You're sparking that bitch. You got your coffee. You got your breakfast. You smoking fat. And you just fucking coast until that afternoon nap time. You take that afternoon weed nap. Then you wake up and you play fucking video games until your thumbs go numb. Oh, man, I miss those days. I'll probably never listen to Pearl Jam again. Literally ruined it for me, buddy. Thanks. Like day. All right, everybody. Let's not forget why we're here. 3-step program. Step 1, we inform ourselves. Step 2, we sign up and show up using resources like mobilize.us. It's right here. You can do it right now. Sign up, show up. You don't have to be Batman. You don't have to be the superhero. You can just give them your money, give them your time, give them your effort. And step 3, you got to put in the motherfucking work. Make this shit a lifestyle, nonviolent, direct resistance. This is how we defeat fascism. It's the only thing that's ever fucking worked. And it's the only thing that's going to get us out of this fascistic dictatorship, which is exactly what it is. And I'm going to keep saying that shit until they throw me into the ICE van. And then I got to have a conversation with the motherfuckers on the way to the concentration camp about what the definition of fascism is. Whoa, buddy, you sure this is fascism? I don't know, man. I don't know. Both sides. You know that's what's going to be happening in the motherfucking concentration camp van. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to the Ukrainian democracy. Free Palestine. Free Taiwan. It's about to happen. You'll see it. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. We'll see. Enjoy your day. Listen to some Pearl Jam.
Bye-bye.